Her neighbor, Ashley Mattelli, for property damage caused by Ashley's 10-year-old son.
Miss Olson, it is your claim that the defendant's son, who was 10 years old, damaged your front door.
Yes.
And while the defendant acknowledges that her son damaged the front door, she says he has an excuse. Is that correct?
Yes.
Okay. What's your son's name?
Caden Timothy.
Okay, you want to come up here, please? I want a chair here. Okay. Caden?
Yes.
You're 10.
Yes, Your Honor.
You know who I am?
Judge Judy.
Did you ever watch me on TV? No? Does your mom?
My mom does.
Your mom does. So you catch it every once in a while. So you know how important it is to tell me everything that I ask you a question to be 100% honest.
Yep.
Right?
Yes, Your Honor.
You go to school?
Yep.
What grade are you in?
5th grade.
How do you do in school?
I'm always on task and I'm always doing good.
Good. Now, do you remember, Caden, August of last year when you were out with some of your friends?
Yes, ma'am.
How many friends were you out with?
It's 5 or 6 probably.
Were they friends of yours?
Yeah, they were like neighborhood friends.
Were you just out walking or riding a bike?
Riding a bike.
Were you all riding bikes?
Yeah, they were all riding bikes.
There's a game. It's a kid's game. What's it called?
Ding dong ditch.
Ding dong.
Ditch.
Ding dong ditch? Would you explain to me what ding dong ditch is?
Ding dong ditch is where...
Look at me.
Ding dong ditch is where you kick or you knock on the door. And you
On a stranger's door?
Yeah, on a stranger's door. And you ride your bike away or run away.
Sandra Olson claims her neighbor, Ashley Mattelli, owes for door damages after her 10-year-old son kicked Sandra's door.
Okay, so you know about this game.
Yeah.
And you knew about this game back in August.
Yeah.
Had you ever played it before?
No, I just learned
Did
it.
any of your friends played it before that you saw?
No, I never seen them play it. They just told me, let's go ding dong ditch.
Well, when they said, let's go ding dong ditch, you knew what they meant.
Yeah, I knew what they meant, but I never
How
did
did you know what they meant?
Because I seen a video on YouTube.
So I want you to tell me exactly what you did. You were riding your bike. Did you hit the door with your bike or did you hit the door with your foot?
I hit the door with my leg.
Where was your bike?
My bike was parked by us in the road and...
Okay, and you walked up to this door
Yep.
and you kicked it.
Kicked it gently.
You kicked it gently.
Just kicked it gently.
And then what did you do?
I went back home.
So you got on your bike and rode
Back home. Ride it
back home. Okay. Now, the lady who owns that door, she didn't see you. So one of your friends ratted on you.
Yep.
There you go. Do you know which friend of yours ratted on you?
It was a girl that ratted on me too.
A girl.
A girl.
Now, when you got home, who was home?
My mom, and then I just went back outside.
Just a second. You went home because you had done this ding-dong
Ditch?
ditch. You knew you did something wrong, right?
Yep.
Did you tell your mother? No.
No, I just went back outside.
So you went home, went in the house,
Yep.
stayed there for a little while.
Yep, like 5
In case,
minutes.
just a second. So that in case somebody followed you, you were home.
Nobody followed me.
Yeah, I know. But if you went back outside, what did you go back outside to do?
I just went back to the lady's house, and then the cops saw me.
Oh, so you went back to her house, and were the other kids there?
The other kids, they told on me, and the police saw me.
Okay, you can go back. Okay, now I'd like to see pictures of your door and what this lightly damaged door looks like.
I don't think it was kicked lightly, Your Honor.
No, that's not what I'm saying, Miss Olson. I was being facetious. No, that's not a lightly damaged door. And when you heard this noise, you went out and looked at the door and you called the police. Is that right?
No.
What'd you do?
I asked the children that were on their bikes,
Who did it?
who did this? And none of them spoke out. So then I had to call the police, and they took pictures of my door. And I got
Whatever.
an incident report.
Somebody, unfortunately, or fortunately, ratted out on your son. There really is no explanation or excuse for doing that. It's vandalism, right?
Yes.
Okay. And since you're his parent, as between you and the plaintiff, the financial responsibility for fixing his damage isn't with her, it's with you.
Correct.
Okay.
I do have something to add. Your
Okay.
Honor. So, in my defense, my son is only 10 years old. I don't know how his little foot can make that much of a damage to that door. He was in a situation where he was getting bullied by the other kids.
I don't know that at all.
Yep.
Certainly, A, he didn't tell me that, and if you believe that his actions were a result of being forced to do what he did, then you can sue the parents of those people that you think forced him to do what he did. It sounded to me like a very voluntary act by a 10-year-old who was aware of what the prank was, who did it. And then because he did it, he ran home, which is what a 10-year-old would do, got in the house for a minute, didn't tell you anything, and then figured, well, now I'll go back outside. And he went back to where he had done it, because that's where his friends were. And that's when he saw the police, and that's when everybody said, that's him, that's the one who did. Is anything that I'm saying damaging to you?
They egged him on to kick that door hard.
How do you know?
Because I was told that by...
You can't tell me anything that you were told.
It's in the police report.
Then I'll take a look at it.
Okay.
And can I also see, please, the bill for fixing the door?
Okay, it's in yellow. And
Egging on and bullying are two different things. Oh, well, the police came and spoke to you. The police said that you agreed to take care of the door because your son admitted to damaging the door.
Correct, but...
Okay, that's all.
Okay.
How much did you pay to fix the door?
it's a custom door, so I had to pay $2,307, which I'm still paying for, $56 a month.
So you had the door fixed?
Yes.
So there's a situation between someone who is totally innocent and who has been forced to spend money, which she clearly can't afford because she's paying this door off by the month, and you, who are his parent. Doesn't it seem fair that you're responsible instead of someone who caused no damage to their own property?
Yeah, but
Of course.
not for $2,000.
I don't care if it's $2,000 or $20,000. That's what it cost her to put in a new door.
So
You're an intelligent woman.
Sandra never reached out to me either.
You mean she never contacted you?
The conversation we had after the police officer was there,
Yes.
my son apologized for the incident that had happened. I never heard back from her ever since that day. She never reached out to me to tell me how much the door cost or what the damages were.
Just a second, is that
at all.
correct?
No, I contacted her. I said I would need restitution for that door. And she said she was unemployed. And we had a nice conversation.
Okay, so is that the initial conversation that you had? You said you were unemployed? Or was
Yeah,
that
at the time, yes, I was unemployed.
Okay, are you working now?
Yes.
Great. $2,307, judgment for the plaintiff.
This court is adjourned.
The decision was made.
It was honest and fair.
I'm sorry for when I made an awful decision.
I think he's an okay kid.
No more than knowledge.
No hard feelings.
Do you know that I think he was absolutely an adorable little boy?
He was, and he even said, it was a bad decision. I wish I could have made a different one, but, he's 10, so at least he can recognize that.
I thought he was intelligent and truthful, and there was no excuse like there was in the answer that he was being bullied. Clearly not bullied. You may be egged on.
Pressured or
You may be
egged on.
egged on at 10 years old. But more and more courts are saying parents are responsible for the acts of their children.
As they should be.
Even sometimes criminal acts of their children if you fail in parenting. I don't think that this mom, it was failed parenting. I think that he's a good kid, and I think that
Just a bad choice.
stupid thing was just a bad choice.
I agree.
Case number 3031, Brandenburg McLaughlin versus Irwin Jr. All parties, please step forward.
Christopher Brandenburg and Victoria McLaughlin are suing their motorcycle buyer, Carter Irwin Jr., for stealing a 2001 Harley-Davidson Heritage.
Mr. Brandenburg, you're suing the defendant for $10,000. I've read your complaint half a dozen times. I still couldn't figure it out. Mr. Irwin, you're counterclaiming for $10,000. I read your answer 1,000 times. I can't figure out what you're suing each other for. The only thing I can manage to put together, this has something to do with motorcycles.
Correct.
And it has something to do with a French bulldog and something called shatter, which I have no idea which it was, except that you wrote in your answer that he took your $7,000 worth of shatter, which is a marijuana extract. Okay, so I'm going to give you each 5 minutes to make your best case so that I understand what your case is about, because it wasn't clear. Go.
Okay, myself and Carter made a deal on a motorcycle. So we made a deal, and he never followed through on...
Okay, so he never followed through on the deal. Do you have that deal in writing?
No, it was all
No.
verbal.
And how much was the deal for?
$9,000 for the Harley-Davidson Shovelhead.
And then what happened?
So I live in Sunnyside, Washington. He lives in Salem, Oregon. So we had traveled back to my place, and he seen the bike, and he decided he liked it and wanted it. So he had no transportation back to his place. So he borrowed my wife's van to travel back. So we had a verbal agreement on that.
Just a second, did he take the bike?
No, he did not take the bike.
Did he ever take the bike?
No, I delivered the bike.
Does he still have possession of the bike?
No.
Where is it now?
It is at my place.
So you have it back?
Yes, I retrieved it.
Okay, next.
When he returned the van a few days later, November 4th, and he had no transportation back, so I let him borrow my 2001 Harley-Davidson Heritage.
Okay, so you have the first bike back, but you don't have the 2001.
Correct. When I went down,
shh,
I apologize.
Christopher Brandenburg and Victoria McLaughlin claimed their motorcycle buyer, Carter Irwin Jr., stole their Harley-Davidson Heritage. Carter is countersuing, claiming Christopher stole his marijuana and a French bulldog.
Do you have, or did you have, possession of his 2001 Harley?
Yes, Your Honor, I did.
Do you still have it? No, look, don't look down. Do you still have it?
No, I don't.
Where is it?
It's at a guy's house that I know. It was sold, basically, because I didn't have the paperwork on it, like I was supposed to receive. I paid for these motorcycles.
Just a second. You paid the $9,000 for the first one?
I paid in product, Your Honor, with shatter.
You paid in product?
Yeah, with the concentrated marijuana shatter.
No.
Show me. Show me an agreement between the two of you.
It was all verbal, Your Honor.
Show me the agreement between, okay.
It was all verbal.
Fine. Unless I have it in writing, I don't care. Do you have anything in writing to show me that you paid for this motorcycle?
Here's some of the evidence of the jars of shatter that were taken from my house.
No, I don't care about that.
Okay.
I don't care about pictures of it.
Also, I have pictures of him dropping the shovel head off in my house.
Second, would you put them out, please? I don't listen to muttering. Goodbye. Is what you're telling me that you paid for this 2001 Harley, which you have, with a marijuana derivative?
Along with $1,500 cash, Your Honor, yes.
So I want you to show me where you get the $1,500 in cash from.
Well, see, we didn't do receipts. We didn't do a written contract. We didn't have any.
I didn't ask you that. I want you to show me where you got $1,500 in cash from. You have a bank account. You withdrew $1,500 from the bank account. That's all I want to say.
I don't have that with me, Your Honor.
Well, this is the dance, sir. There's not an encore to this dance. There's only one
we have a
dance.
text message saying that he was going to pay us $9,000.
May
he
I-
was going to transfer it.
May I see it, please?
Sure may.
Okay, easy.
This bottom one right here.
Easy. Yeah, November 2nd, you told him that you were going to transfer $9,000.
Yes, and then that's when I went to Sunnyside and I took shatter with me because I didn't have the money at that time to cover it. So,
Don't be ridiculous. I don't believe a word you're saying to me.
Okay.
All right. Now we're going to talk about the dog. Tell me about the dog. It was an 8.5-month-old, according to what I read, French bulldog.
I'm the one that dealt with the dog stuff. Can I step over?
Who owns the dog?
I do. I have
Fine, then you
paperwork
can,
from.
Just a second.
Yeah, let her.
Transfer over there. Tell me what happened on the 28th of October with this dog.
Carter expressed that he would like a French bulldog
Who's
or a mix.
Carter?
Carter. And so we discussed him being a guardian home. A guardian home is where they keep the dog, they feed it, water it, take care of it. It stays in their home, and then when I'm going to breed it, I get to breed the dog. And then after one breeding, then they own the dog free and clear. So that's what we had agreed on, is that he's supposed to feed and water the dog, the food that has to be of a certain quality. It has to have a backyard. It has to be fenced. They have to own their own home, yada, yada. Anyway, we found out from Carter's sister that he does not own his home, that there is not a fenced yard, and
You took the dog back.
we took the dog back.
Just a second. Is it correct, Mr. Irwin, because there's a dispute about you have the dog now?
I have placed the dog in a different home, but yes, I had the dog.
Probably better off without both of you. They have the dog back. For all intents and purposes, whatever she did with this poor creature that is clearly just being used for money, you had possession of for a while, and you had an agreement that you could keep the dog after one litter?
yeah, I have a full fenced-in backyard.
Just a second, I don't care.
Oh, sorry.
Just answer my question.
Yes.
That was your agreement?
Yep.
Yeah. And when they came to get the motorcycle back, they took the dog back with them?
Yeah,
You have a counterclaim. You want the dog.
yeah.
You can't have it. The dog is gone now. It's some other poor home because none of you really have this dog's best interest at heart. As a pet, you're using it to make money. That's it. Okay, so this is my ruling in this very complicated case. They're going to get their motorcycle back. They're going to get that because you're going to tell me in a neutral location and a time and a date when and where they should pick it up. Tell me now.
Let's say the 15th.
15th of this month.
Yeah.
15th. Where should they pick it up?
Anywhere in Salem.
The police station?
Police station.
Yeah,
Great.
that's
What time of day?
I'd say by noontime.
Noon. High noon. High noon on the 15th. Motorcycle transfer. The puppy is in another home. This case is over. Goodbye.
This court is adjourned.
I thought she was firm but fair. I mean, everything he said was fabricated.
Well, I don't agree with it, but it is what it is, and I'll make it right.
That the girlfriend handed the dog over. He never owned the dog. He was supposed to be being a guardian home for it.
Well, they didn't give me an opportunity to. They just came to my house, physically took the dog out of my old lady's hands.
And he wasn't treating the dog how we felt was appropriate.
There isn't a friendship.
Oh, it's done and over. I would suggest that nobody do business with that guy or even, associate with him.
You know I don't care about motorcycles. They'll each get their motorcycles back, and I really don't care. And I certainly don't care about shatter, although I'm glad I learned what the term meant, because you like, at my age, to learn a new thing every day. It keeps you...
Learn something new every day.
What I am so sad about is, every decade or so, there's a popular dog, that everybody's got to have. It's the dog. And then people started to breed them as hobby sports, and they don't know anything about breeding.
Yeah.
As an animal person, that these little creatures won't have a chance to have any sort of a pleasant, normal life because they're going to be used for breeding and then discarded. It actually outrages me. And he didn't pay for it.
Yes, ma'am.
The dog was sick, and I've been asking them to come get the dog.
He said the dog had rabies.
It was just getting out of hand.
Where's the dog now?
I just gave the dog away.
The only sadness for me in this entire case is this puppy.
This is Judy Justice. Kiara Broomfield White is suing her husband's co-worker, Aaron Coker, for the cost of a Labradoodle.
Court come to order. All rise.
Have a seat, please.
Hello, Judge. Case 3041, Bloomfield White versus Coker.
Thank you.
Welcome.
Miss White, the thrust of your case is that you sold a dog to the defendant and he didn't pay for it.
Yes, ma'am.
Defendant has a couple of defenses, one of which was that the dog was sick.
Yes, ma'am.
He had lots of vet bills for the dog, and ultimately those vet bills far outweighed what he owed on the dog. And is it your wife?
No, ma'am.
Girlfriend, whoever
Friend,
lived?
yes.
Your girlfriend with whom you live?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. They had enough of the dog, and he says he gave it away.
Well, before I did that, I asked them repeatedly, can they just come get the dog because we were put in the middle of a family triangle.
Let's start out with where you got the dog and what kind of dog it is.
Yes, so I got the dog from my mom on August 21st.
Okay, that's what I read, August 21st of last year.
Yes.
How old was the dog when you got it from your mother?
She was 2 months old at the time.
Okay, would you step up, please? Tell me your last name.
White.
Miss White, tell me when you bought this dog.
I believe it was June 28th, 29th.
And how much did you pay for the dog?
$800.
How long did you keep the dog for? Just 2 months?
A little over a month, yes.
And then what happened to the dog?
I decided to sell the dog to my daughter at that time.
Why?
I was going through some medical issues, and I thought that I would be able to handle it, but I was completely wrong.
And you sold the dog to your daughter?
I did.
How much did you sell the dog for?
$900.
So you made a profit from your daughter?
No, ma'am. I also sold her a cage along with the dog that I paid $125 for.
So you sold her not only the dog, but the cage?
Yes.
For $900?
Yes.
And how much did your daughter pay you for the dog?
Nothing.
Zero, right? That's
Correct.
what I'm getting from here. And then, Miss White, you decided that you couldn't care for the dog.
Yes, ma'am.
What month?
It was October. I found out that I had conceived, and the dog was not potty trained. The smell of it was just making me really sick, so I decided to go ahead and sell the dog myself. I posted a post on Facebook on October 17th.
You had the dog August, September, and October.
Correct.
When did you take the dog to the vet?
I did not.
The answer is you did not.
Never.
When did you take the dog to the vet?
Never.
When did you take the dog to the vet?
I never took the dog to the vet.
So now we have a dog that you acquired in June that had to be at least 6 weeks old, so it had to be born sometime late April or May.
It was born May 31st, 2022.
So you took the dog when it was 4 weeks old, a little early to take a puppy. Okay, and when you took the dog, did you get paperwork that told you what kind of shots the dog had had?
Yes, ma'am, I did.
I'd like to take a look at the paper. I see the dog was dewormed on 2 occasions, but I don't see any shots.
Okay, so this is what she wrote down here. So
I don't care what you wrote down there. You have a dog. The dog is a puppy. It needs shots. It needs shots before it can go around other dogs. Do you mean you had no clue as to this, and neither did you, Miss White? that the dog needed shots?
No, actually, when me and him made the agreement for him to come and purchase the dog, we had a phone call.
I don't care about a phone call. I'm talking about, you don't understand what I'm saying to you, madam. What I'm saying to you, your mother had a dog that was born sometime in May. She had the dog June, July. Between the two of you, August, right? You know that a dog, like a baby, has to get injections, shots for rabies, for distemper. Shots to make it healthy so that if it's around other dogs, it won't get sick. Neither you nor your mother took the dog to get put it down unless you have shots to show me. I'm not interested in anything other than your neglect of this dog for 6 months. That's all I'm interested in. Right now, that's what I'm interested in. Your neglect of this puppy for 6 months.
The dog was due for shots in September when her insurance became active.
Let me explain something to you. The dog wasn't due when her insurance became active. The dog was due when it's a puppy. It gets puppy shots. The fact that you didn't want to give the dog shots until it got insurance is not the dog's problem.
Exactly.
That's your problem. The puppy needed puppy shots. Within 6 months, you had the dog for 6 months between the two of you and didn't take care of it. And I don't understand that. What?
So I definitely do apologize. It was my first time having a puppy, and I didn't know that it needed a shot.
You note in the chart that the dog was dewormed. That's all that you gave me.
I didn't know what type of shots the dog needed. And
Then you
that's my
look on,
ignorance.
just a second. Then you look on the internet. You ask the breeder from whom you bought it. You ask people. You find out. You don't do nothing. It's a live animal. You're supposed to take care of it.
Yes, I agree.
Yeah, good. I'm glad you agree. Because his defense is that when he got the dog got sick. Miss White, let me understand your complaint. You charged him $1,600 for a dog you didn't pay for, that you still owe the full price on. Am I reading this wrong?
No, you're not.
Don't help me. I don't need your help.
Yes, ma'am.
I need her help.
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, Your Honor. My agreement was that I was supposed to pay my mom the money out of the sale of the dog.
Just a
She
second.
was going
You
to
had
get-
the dog August, September, and October. You paid your mother nothing.
I got the dog August 21st. My mother and I made the agreement that I would not immediately pay her for the dog as we had just both moved to the area and I didn't have it. So she knew that I did not have
I
the
don't
money
care what
to
she
pay for
knew.
the dog.
You didn't buy the dog from your mother to resell it, I assume.
No, originally I was going to keep the dog, but I decided not to keep the dog. But either way, our agreement was still for me to pay her.
I don't care. You sold him the dog for $1,600 and you didn't pay for it.
Claims her husband's co-worker, Aaron Coker, owes for the cost of a Labradoodle. Aaron says Kiara sold him a sick dog.
Okay, in addition to not paying for it, which, that's between you and your mother, has something to do with the legality of your lawsuit because you can't sell something that you don't own, and you don't own it until you pay for it, right? My real problem with the two of you is you don't appear to be people without any common sense or brains. How do you not know that a puppy needs puppy shots before it can be involved with other dogs, walk around, be near other dogs, that it needs shots just like a baby does?
Your Honor, I was aware of the fact that the dog was supposed to go for shots in September.
No, it wasn't supposed to go in September,
I got
madam.
the dog August 21st from my mom. My mom told me the following month that the dog was going to need shots, and that was only like a week or so from the August when I got the dog.
So where did you get this idea that this puppy that you had didn't need shots before September? Your daughter a moment ago said September was the date because that's when your insurance kicked in.
September 1st, yes. I got the idea from Tina, the person that I actually purchased the dog from. She told me that the dog would be due for his first shots the last week of August. But the problem is that he told us the dog had rabies. And I researched that.
That it had
and
rabies
there is no...
symptoms.
Sure.
Who told you the dog had rabies? Oh, I'm not talking about him.
That's why he didn't want to pay, because he said the dog had rabies.
Let me explain something to you. I don't know whether the dog had rabies or not. I know that you and your daughter were negligent. And your daughter has no claim because she didn't pay for the animal. You did. You're not the plaintiff. You paid $800. You sold it to your daughter for $900, and you sold it to him without shots for $1,600, of which he paid you $5.
No, ma'am. We had an agreement to pay the $5, but I wasn't giving up
Just
nothing.
a second. So you paid nothing?
Nothing. No, ma'am. The first payment wasn't due until I got paperwork and everything on the dog.
Okay. So you got the dog in October,
Yes,
October
ma'am.
17th.
Yes, ma'am.
I'd like to see the vet bills after October 17th.
I have that, and I got her rabies shot
I'd just like to see
certificate
them.
and things like that.
This doesn't show me anything.
Yes, ma'am.
This shows me a surgery consult. I don't know.
No, he wanted to do surgery, and yes, ma'am.
This isn't a vet bill. I've been doing this for 28 years. So if you're not going to be able to show me what I want, don't waste my time with the zh on the machine.
Okay.
If you don't have it, you don't have it.
I don't have it on me, right?
Then just say I don't have it.
No, ma'am, I don't.
Why don't you have the vet bill? We're not talking about forever ago, sir.
Smart.
All you have to do is say to the vet, I'm going to court, I need a copy of my bill.
That's my...
Do you understand?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
I had it.
Now I want you to tell me, because I'm not crazy about either one of you.
Uh-oh.
You, because you were both negligent with regard to this puppy. You had no right to get a puppy if the two of you weren't emotionally or financially able to take care of it. You should certainly understand that when you get a puppy, when you buy a puppy, did you pay for it, by the way?
I did.
Okay, and if you paid $800 for a puppy, you ask certain questions. I've had dogs in my life for 70 years. Every time I purchase a dog, the person from whom I purchase it gives me a piece of paper that says when the dog was born, who the parents were, when it got its first shot, when it's got its second shot, when it's due for its third shot. That's what you get. And it's hard for me to comprehend that neither one of you really either understood it or just figured, well, I had the dog for 6 weeks, then I'm going to sell it to my daughter. I don't know, she'll want it, she doesn't want it. She's going to sell it to somebody else for twice as much as I paid for it. Because she sold it to him, allegedly, for twice as much as you paid for it. Sick. Sick. Oh. Where's the dog now?
Well, I repeatedly asked them to come get I gave the dog to a friend of mine.
Did you give the dog to him?
Yes.
No payment?
None at all.
Why?
Well, because...
Not well. Well is not an answer.
I'm sorry.
Well is not an answer. You understand that I have problems with your veracity already.
Okay. So I just gave the dog away after I repeatedly asked them if they want the dog back.
Just a second.
3 dogs are in the house with us, which is what they call Katana, which we call Lucky. And then I have a little small Chihuahua, a miniature Chihuahua, named Kimura. And then we have another dog that is called... What is her name? China. Yes, so we have 3 dogs in the house. But I had 3. Now it's 2.
When did you give the dog away?
It had to have been like December sometime.
Your Honor.
What?
The only reason I wasn't just trying to double charge him for the dog, I was trying to get the money back that I had put into the dog. My mom put that amount.
Just a second, what did you put into the dog?
I had to pay a lease agreement to have the dog.
Who cares? What is that?
I paid $500.
Who cares?
Well, when I was selling the dog, I was looking to get my compensation back, and that's what we agreed upon.
That has nothing to do with him or the dog.
We agreed upon that price for the dog.
He's not paying you anything.
Okay.
He's not paying you anything. He gave the dog away. Would you tell me the dog got a rabies shot on October 31st?
Yes, ma'am.
What'd she need an x-ray for?
Well, see, because she was throwing up and we were trying to figure out what was going on with the dog. She was sick. So we had to take her to an emergency clinic, which that I explained that to them.
Just a second. What emergency clinic?
It's called hospital.
You look it up. Get a number. I'm going to ask you.
Yes, ma'am.
If Sarah called this vet hospital.
Yes, ma'am.
And you gave them authorization, the dog's name that you gave the dog was what?
Lucky.
Lucky.
Lucky. Yes, ma'am.
Gave the vet hospital your name, the dog's name Lucky.
Yes, ma'am.
How much would they tell me that your vet bill was for Lucky?
It was $1,022 and some change.
Do me a favor. Call them. I want you to find out, Sarah, how much he paid and what was done to the dog. When you had the dog, Miss White, and you said the dog was making all over your house and you had to get rid of it because you couldn't stand the smell, didn't you think that the dog was sick?
No, she wasn't potty trained. She was still a puppy. The smell of it was a lot for me being pregnant. It would cause me to be sick and nauseous all the time. He called me and he was like, why do you want to get rid of the dog? What's wrong with the dog? I said, well, nothing's wrong with her. She's just really active. I'm pregnant. Everything was fine. I told him then I didn't take her for her shot that she needed in September. He was fine with that. We agreed on the price.
No, just a second. Just stop there. You didn't take her for her shots.
Yeah, in September, like my mom had told me I needed to. I did make him aware of that before he even came up there.
You do understand that if I find that he, in fact, spent over $800, which is what your mother paid for the dog, over $800 in vet bills for this dog, you get nothing. Do you understand?
Okay.
Because you sold him a sick dog.
Is accusing her husband's coworker, Aaron Coker, of refusing to pay for the Labradoodle he purchased. Aaron claims he had to pay for vet bills because the dog was already sick.
You do understand that if I find that he, in fact, spent over $800 in vet bills for this dog, you get nothing.
Okay, but, Your Honor...
Her husband agreed that the dog maybe got sick because the dog was eating out of the cat bowl, drinking the cat water from a stray cat. That would make a dog sick right there.
Absolutely.
So after the husband told me that, I already know what it was.
Okay, Your Honor, as far as the shots, I understand that the dog was supposed to go and get its shots. And I did know that, and that's why I let him know that there was shots that I did not give the dog.
Doesn't matter. To me, it doesn't matter.
Well, I just want you to know that I made him aware of it, and he was fine with the fact that the dog needed shots and paying for the shots that the dog needed.
Paying for shots doesn't cost $1,000. It doesn't cost $1,400. It only costs that kind of money if the dog is sick.
And she was sick. Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
Your Honor, that's not what they informed us. I have 3 different messages, different things
all I'm
that they
telling
told
you
us.
is I'm going to see if I can get a response on the phone, if I can. If he paid anywhere near $800 to the vet to take care of a sick puppy, end of story.
Hi, this is Sarah Rose, and I'm a law clerk for Judge Judy Shineland with the show Duty Justice. And we have a case in front of us right now regarding Aaron Coker and his dog Lucky, who came in, and I just needed a write-up of what he paid as well as what the dog received. Okay, so you have no record of him then? I do not. Okay, no problem. Thank you very much for your help.
The fact that you never had a dog before, that you didn't know, that you were pregnant, that you were nauseous, all is meaningless to the dog that was neglected. Meaningless. Now you can sit down.
Your Honor, I have a question.
I don't answer questions.
Okay, well...
I ask questions. Yes?
They had no record of Aaron Coker or Lucky.
This was less than a year ago. You can get a vet bill.
Yes, ma'am.
You knew you were coming to court.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Miss White, first of all, you had an animal that you hadn't paid for, so you had no right to sell it. I actually find that your conduct and your mother's, although not intentionally negligent with regard to this dog, was in fact negligent, and you sold him a dog that he got rid of after he took her to the vet, because I believe he probably took her to the vet because she was sick. Did you have a cat?
Yeah, there was a stray cat outside, and they would sleep next to each other outside in the backyard. The cat and the dog, like, they would just be out there taking a nap together when I went outside.
You do understand that puppies can get sick from other animals. Yes. Cats or dogs, they don't discriminate whether it's a cat or a dog that has an intestinal bug, and you have a cat outside that you feed outside.
Yes, Your Honor, I'm not denying that the dog needed its shots. I know that it's needed its shots, and I know that it could have contracted worms because worms is something it can get. I learned that after the fact.
Or other things.
The dog was completely healthy when I gave him the dog. He even sent me a picture of the dog playing with his other dog when he received the dog.
Maybe. And maybe the dog got sick hanging around with his other dogs. That's possible.
Changed the story 3 different times. And I have all the messages of them changing their story every time for what was actually wrong, for why they wouldn't pay me the money for the dog.
First of all, you didn't pay any money for the dog.
I paid to have the dog in my home.
Who cares what you paid your landlord? I don't care what you paid. No court cares what you paid your landlord in order to have a dog. Nobody cares. You didn't pay for the dog. There is a certain amount of fairness that if your mother is owed money for this dog, and even though she was neglectful of this animal, he really had no right to turn around and give it away to somebody else. And I'm not so sure that after he got a 6-month-old dog well again with all the shots, that there was no money exchanged with regard to the dog. I'm not so sure, sir.
Well, I didn't charge anybody. I asked them numerous of times. They wouldn't come and get the dog. It was just getting out of hand.
Well, it was getting out of hand because, sir, you hadn't paid them any money. When were you supposed to make your first payment?
Like November 10th or 11th.
Okay, and you had the dog until December.
Yes, ma'am.
Why didn't you make your first payment?
Because the dog was sick and I've been asking them to come get the dog.
First of all, you can't tell them to come and get the dog because you bought it. You bought it without a contract that said it had a health guarantee, a health warranty, whatever. That doesn't mean she's getting a penny because she didn't pay for the dog.
Okay.
You had an arrangement with her.
Yes, ma'am.
To pay her in November. You didn't do it.
Yes, ma'am.
Now, stand up a second. Did your daughter agree to pay you back after she got paid from him?
She did.
You see, my problem is I could dismiss your case and then your mother would have to come back because she's the actual owner of the dog because you didn't pay for the dog. And there is no way that you're getting twice as much as what you paid for the dog. But I don't think, Mr. Coker, that you're being honest. You certainly didn't bring me the proof. You certainly didn't bring me evidence that was either in your possession or capable of being in your possession. And I don't think that these people in Buford who spoke to her were lying to her when they said they don't have you in their system with a dog whose name is Lucky. Then you have to pay something for this dog that you just gave away because I'm not so sure that you just gave it away. The only sadness for me in this entire case is that this poor puppy had, by the time it was 6 months old, 4 different owners, all of whom were neglectful. You, and I don't know about the person that you ultimately gave the dog to. I don't know whether that person is going to be using or abusing her because, according to you, he got her for free. And even those shelters that really have rescue animals, they charge something because they want people to have a certain financial investment in taking care of a pet before they give you a pet. So that you gave what was an expensive dog to this person for free is something that I don't buy, like I don't buy the vet bill. You get $100 for the dog. Judgment for the plaintiff in the amount of $100. That's it. Next time, take better care of animals.
This court is adjourned.
I mean, it was a fair judgment. I wish I had brought the right document with me, and I didn't, so.
He lied about having the bills, and he gets to get away with not paying it.
It was a family feud between the mother and the daughter, and now the mother is standing with the daughter now, so.
She was completely healthy, and he knows that.
She was sick. She was small.
He just didn't want to pay that much for a dog.
I'm happy she found a great home.
That was one of the few cases in my career where I really had a tough time making a judgment.
Yeah.
Sarah.
And I don't necessarily disagree with your judgment in the end. I know it was meant to be sort of a wrist slap to the defendant, of course, for being, a little untruthful in multiple parts of his story. But technically, the plaintiff was not the right plaintiff.
You really can't at the last minute just substitute one plaintiff for another. They were just foolish and neglectful of this puppy. and got it for all the wrong reasons. His story about this $1,400 vet bill was untruthful. And I knew it was untruthful because if you print up that piece of paper, the
Vet logo would be right all over that.
vet logo was on top, and it doesn't say range of treatment, proposed bill.
It looks that way when a defendant prepares their own statement
and makes
the
a
state.
copy of it.
Yeah.
Right.
Cecilia Morrow is suing her ex-boyfriend, Saeed Rodriguez, for stolen property and assault.
Court come to order. All rise.
Have a seat, please.
Hello, Judge. Case 3100, Moreau versus Rodriguez.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Miss Moreau, you and Mr. Rodriguez met. You began a friendship. Could you give the dog to your witness, please? You met the defendant at your place where you were both working, became friends. Shortly thereafter, you began dating, and in May of last year, you moved in together.
Yes.
Did you move into your apartment, to his apartment, or was it an apartment that you got together as a couple?
Yes, we got it together.
Who was on the lease?
It was both of us.
In October of the same year, 4 or 5 months later, you broke up.
Yes.
And your lawsuit is about what happened at the breakup and as a result of the breakup. According to your complaint, in October, the day that you in fact broke up, you had a fight with Mr. Rodriguez. He put his hands on you. He assaulted you. You left the house. And when you left the house, you left and went and stayed with your parents.
Yes.
You claim that Mr. Rodriguez has some property that belongs to you.
Yes.
In the house, and that the assault that took place was serious enough that you should be compensated for it, despite the fact that there was no police involvement in this, correct?
Yes, ma'am.
And there were no hospital records or no doctor's records.
Yes, ma'am.
Because you didn't go to the hospital or seek any medical care, correct?
Yes.
Okay. The defendant says that there was an argument. You did, in fact, break up. After you broke up, you came to his house, and there was an argument, and you did, in fact, assault him. He denies that he assaulted you at all at the beginning of October when you broke up. And he says that when you left, you agreed that he could keep the 2 corgis that you had together in the apartment. This is one of them. And that was in October. And sometime in December, this is his complaint, you called and said, could you take the dogs for 2 days? He said, okay, because there was a threat, and you haven't returned the dogs. He would like the corgis back. Correct? Now, this is one of the corgis. Where's the other?
He was too big to fit on the plane. He's at home.
Okay, so when were the corgis purchased?
Her, I got of March of last year, and the other one, Chip, I got in June of last year.
So you had one when you and the defendant moved in together?
Yes.
Is that correct?
Correct.
Is this the one you had when you moved in together?
Yes.
So all the dogs were purchased after you lived together?
Yes.
Who were the dogs purchased from?
Her, I got from Petland in Frisco, and the boy, he found on Craigslist.
He found the dog because you wanted a second dog?
Yes.
Who paid for the dog at Petland?
I did.
Is that correct?
That's correct.
Is the dog registered?
Yeah.
And that's this dog?
Yes.
Sir, this is part of your complaint. You want this dog back?
Yes, ma'am.
You neither purchased the dog, correct?
Correct.
The dog is not registered in your name, correct?
Correct.
Why would you think I would give you this dog?
Because the entirety of our relationship since we bought Fatty, I was the one taking care of her in the mornings. I would wake up 6 in the morning or whatever time it was, take her out, whether it was freezing cold, hot, raining.
Who cares?
And
Who cares?
of course, but also I have here pictures where she, once after the breakup, she was stating that she can't keep the dog's not worth the money.
If you have statements that suggest that she gave you the dog, I'll read them. But on its face, the fact that you walk the dog in the morning or in the afternoon or at night has no relevance to this whatsoever.
Well, I have the messages where she's saying that the dog is, not worth anything. I need to get rid of her. She's bad. She's telling me to come pick her
May
up.
I see those, please?
Yes, Your Honor. Here you go.
What are you selling? Who's selling something?
She is stating that she wants to sell the dog.
That Chip?
That is the other dog, yeah.
Well, one she bought, and it's in her name, so that's definitely hers.
And also,
That's Fatty, right?
Yes.
And Chip, sir?
So it was about both of them. From the day we broke up, I kept the dogs because she couldn't keep them. She couldn't take care of them. She left them in the cage all day. And I also have evidence where, her family members are throwing cheese at her face, mistreating the dogs.
Show me. Dog looks perfectly happy to me.
You can press play.
What was that big piece of cheese that was thrown in the dog's eye?
That was my dad from TikTok.
Who did that to
My
the
dad. He has a TikTok account. It's a trend on TikTok to throw it on babies' faces and dogs.
That's terrible.
It's a trend.
It's stupid.
Yeah, it's a stupid trend. I didn't partake in it, but
Why would I leave this dog in a house with a stupid person who takes out that stupidity on an animal to put a thing up on TikTok? That's absolutely outrageous.
We take care of them. They're fine.
No, you don't.
What's wrong with you? Why would you even think that that's reasonable?
Cecilia Morrow has accused her ex-boyfriend, Saeed Rodriguez, of assaulting her and stealing property. Saeed is countersuing for the return of 2 corgis and claims he was the one assaulted.
Why did you leave the dogs at his house for 2 months?
It wasn't 2 months straight. It was probably like a week or two.
No,
straight.
it wasn't a week or two. What do you mean straight? You had a fight in October.
Yeah, we were co-parenting, I guess, with the dogs because I was working and so was he. So we couldn't.
Are you telling me after you broke up?
Yes.
How could you be co-parenting with somebody? You mean you would go to his house and get the dogs, or he would bring them to your house?
He would come to my house to pick them up and drop them off, and it would same way with.
And he would see you.
Yes.
He would see you.
Yes.
Did you have conversations with him?
Nothing important.
Well, I want you to tell me, after you broke up, how did you arrange that you would co-parent for the dogs?
There wasn't really an agreement. It was just, I'm busy, can you pick him up? Yes, and then same.
Not true.
Now, this argument that you had in October when you broke up, you want to tell me about it, and then I'm going to get back to the dogs.
So he assaulted me. He punched a hole in the TV. He bought the TV, but still, he punched it because I told him if he was going to put his hands on me, then we're actually done. But he punched the TV instead, and I have pictures of what he did that night.
I don't care if he punched a hole in the TV. It's his TV.
Yeah, he punched holes in the apartment that we were staying at as well.
You're still in the apartment?
Yes, Your Honor.
He's still there. Did you take her name off the lease?
Yes, Your Honor.
I don't care what he did to the apartment, madam. He's still in the apartment. He's going to have to pay for any damage. Let's move. You didn't call the police as a result of whatever incident happened in the house. You said he got mad at you, he accused you of cheating. That's what you said in your complaint. He came in, he jumped up on top of the bed, and then he choked you, and then he hit you. You have photographs of that.
Yes, I do.
I'd like to take a look at them. I'm just going to take this. I don't know what this is from. Clearly shows that something happened in her mouth. I'm not exactly sure what. She has 2 marks that she's showing me. Now, did you hit her in the mouth?
No, Your Honor.
You tell me in your own words what happened the night that she came home and you accused her of cheating.
So the night that she came home, I told her, I'm like, what are you doing? Where did you go? She starts trying to make up excuses. I show her messages. I'm like, okay, you're lying to me. I don't appreciate it. She starts going off. I start going off. Just a verbal argument, and just like how she assaulted me.
No. She didn't touch you that night.
She pushed me.
Tell me how that took place, sir, that she pushed you.
She's a very angry person, and...
No. How it came about that she pushed you.
Well, started arguing back and forth about how she wasn't doing anything wrong. I told her, yes, you are.
And now you're fighting verbally back and forth.
Yes.
And she pushed you. She put her hands on your chest.
And she...
Show me how she pushed you. Show me on your roommate how she pushed you. Go ahead.
And she just started trying to slap me.
And
at that moment, that's when I pushed her over and I told her, do not put your hands on me.
Just a second. So you pushed her over?
Yes, to defend myself.
You pushed her over. All right, so this is your problem, sir. You said nothing happened that night. You said in your answer nothing happened that night.
I have a copy of the police report that I reported.
I'm going to look at it in a second. Now, you say here, I never assaulted Cecilia. We had plenty of arguments during the relationship, but I've never assaulted her. She has a tendency to blow things out of proportion. I have never put my hands on a woman in my life. Well, that's not true. You just told me you did.
As self-defense.
You didn't say that here. You said, I've never put my hands on a woman in my life.
Would that be considered assault in self-defense?
No. That's not what you said. Okay, now I'll see the police report. Okay, so what you did is you came home after you were drinking for the night. That's what you told the police, that you had a night of drinking and you had a fight. He wanted to know where you were. She said the argument became physical. The defendant here grabbed her and pinned her onto the bed while he laid on top of her, holding her arms down. Proceeded to take his right hand and bruised and cut her lips. She was dizzy but did not lose consciousness. It was not because of the alcohol she had previously consumed. Cecilia said she eventually left the room and went to sleep. Just a second, so after this incident, when he allegedly hit you, causing this injury to your lip, you went back to living with him?
Yes.
Yeah? I'm reading this thing, and I said, well, she said she was assaulted. She left. She went home, and she went to live with her parents. But you didn't. You went back to sleep, and then you stayed with him because this incident, the one that you just described to me, happened on September 10th, and you went to the police on October 24th.
Yeah.
Then there was an incident on October 19th. She said you had another argument, but he did not strike her because she threatened to leave if he did. Instead, he punched holes in the apartment. She decided to leave after that and no longer is living with him. Okay, Now, later on in the month, after the 19th, because now I am not considering what happened on September 10th, because you went back to live with him. Between September 10th and October 19th, did you share a bed? That's a question.
Yes.
Every day?
No.
4 days a week?
No.
5 days a week? You were living together until the 19th of October.
Yes.
Where did you live?
Well, we had couches as well as a bed, so we weren't always sleeping together.
That's not
You know, I don't believe you. Okay, good. So I'm not even considering the 10th of September. Later on, there was an incident where he says you assaulted him. You came to his house where he was living now. You were living at your parents' house, right?
Yes.
And you came to the house. What date was that?
It was like 2 or 3 days after the breakup.
Was the breakup in October?
Yes, Your Honor. It was October 12th.
October 12th. Got it. You tell me what happened on October 12th. Did you go to his house?
I can't remember.
She was living with me.
She was living with you.
Until that day, October 12th.
I moved out October 31st. I was still living with him on that incident that happened on October 12th. We broke up, and that's when he punched the... I have pictures right here when he punched.
I heard punching the hole in the
Yes.
wall. I'm not interested. He still lives there. He's going to have to fix the hole in the wall.
No, I'm saying that's why we broke up, because I told him if he put his hands on me, then... But he punched
Now
the TV
we're talking
instead.
about his allegation that you assaulted him.
I did not touch him.
That is false.
That's your counterclaim that you have. Then I have to figure out what to do with these dogs.
So I have pictures and I have messages where...
I want to know when it happened and where.
Let me show you.
No, I want you to tell me when did it happen and where.
It was a day or two after I had left, which might have been October 14th or 15th. And she was upset because I had already picked up Fatty because she asked me to. She texted me, I want my stuff back. I want the dog back. And I told her, I was like, no, if you already filed the lawsuit against me, let's just go about it the legal way. I told her, do not show up at my house, which I clearly have messages where I state not to show up. And in those messages, she threatens to murder me, find me and kill me. At that moment, I told her, if you do not leave, I will call the cops. And in that second, she lashed out, grabbed my neck, and scratched my whole neck and my shoulder. And that's...
What date was that?
So October 14th or 15th.
And then you went to the police on October 24th for the first time.
Yes.
Is that correct?
Yes.
Okay. Can I see your photographs, please? Did you report this to the police?
I called the police in the incident. That's why she attacked me.
Just a second. Did the police respond?
The police did respond. They did not want to take a report.
Kevin, would you show this to the plaintiff, please?
He pulled a gun out on me, and that's why I brought her as my witness, because she was there and saw everything that happened that night.
Cecilia Morrill claims her ex-boyfriend, Saeed Rodriguez, owes for an assault and personal property. Saeed is countersuing for the return of 2 corgis and says he was the one assaulted.
Now, did he pull a gun out before this happened? I want you to explain exactly how it happened.
The reason I went to his house is because I noticed on my credit card that he spent $600 on a PS5. He's 22, by the way.
What is a PS5?
A console for gaming with those kids play Fortnite? Yeah.
Okay, so he spent money from your credit card?
Yes.
Okay, had you contacted him about it?
Yes,
Before you
I
went?
have, yes.
Okay.
And he took my dog as well, and she's my ESA animal. I can't be separated from her.
That's not true.
She is my ESA animal.
She's what?
My ESA animal, emotional support animal. It's registered with the government. Do you want to see the...
I'm not interested.
Okay.
Do you work?
Yes, I do. I'm a realtor as well as a financial advisor.
Do you see a therapist regularly?
I need to.
Yep, that's not what I asked you. Do you see a therapist regularly?
No.
Who did you get to write the letter for you that indicated that this corgi that you left behind is an emotional support animal? That's a question. Madam, look at me. It had to be a doctor, correct?
Yes, it is.
It had to be a doctor.
Yes.
What's the name of the doctor?
I have
No. The answer is you don't know offhand the name of the doctor. Is that right?
Yes.
Does the doctor live in the area where you live?
No.
How many times did you personally visit this doctor?
Not once. It was registered through online.
The answer is never.
Yeah.
So you're trying to tell me that I should look at a certificate that some doctor gave you online that you needed a support animal when you are not in any psychiatric care and haven't been. The doctor never examined you, but for a fee, pay attention, for a fee, wrote you a letter so that you could make this an emotional support dog. Now I want you to tell me in what month?
May. And I have the registration if you want to take a look at it.
I don't want to take a look at it at all. It's nonsense. You know it's nonsense, and I know it's nonsense. Now, there are several reasons why you get these nonsense online from close the cover before you strike doctors that will attest to the fact that you need a therapy dog in order to survive. There are several reasons for it. You want to take it to work?
No.
What was the reason? There has to be a reason.
Yeah.
I'm really smart.
I know.
Really smart.
It was so we didn't have to pay the pet deposit, so when we got the apartment.
There you go. So it was a fraud.
No, but that
Just a second. So it was a fraud. So you committed a fraud, so you didn't have to pay a pet deposit for your animals. When I asked you, you want to read me back the answer when I asked her, do you see a psychiatrist? And she said, no, but I need one. And you knew you needed one in May when you had to pay the pet deposit.
No, I need
You
two.
two people are really cute. Is that what she said?
Yes.
Yeah, okay. Mr. Rodriguez, the plaintiff owns the dog. She owns the dog. She paid for the dog. It's registered in her name. The fact that you were a good caretaker, I can't help you with that. The dog looks as if it's in pretty good shape. Believe me, if the dog didn't look as if it was in pretty good shape, somehow I would find a way. But right now, the dog looks as if it's in pretty good shape. I'm directing the plaintiff, however, that in the event that she has to remove the dogs from her parents' house where she's living, that she's precluded from selling them or giving them away until she gives you an opportunity to take them. I'm also directing you, because I assume you live with your parents and I assume your father's going to be watching this, or I would tell him when I got home that the judge called you a moron.
I will.
You can tell him that.
I will.
And I suggest to you that if you want to own a pet, I've had pets all my life, you have to protect your pet from morons.
Yes.
Whether they be little children who are morons or adults who have nothing better to do than to make TikTok videos using somebody else as a fall person. Frightening. As far as the assaults are concerned, I find that you both assaulted each other on 2 different days. There's no question in my mind that you assaulted him, and there's no question in my mind that as a result of her pushing you, and you have a temper, because I know that you broke some of the things in your apartment, that you did, in fact, do something in her mouth. It didn't remove her teeth, but clearly, whatever you did to her face caused her lip to hit her tooth, which caused it to have a bruise on it. Anything else that I have to consider?
Yes, all the furniture that I left at the apartment.
Did you have a moving company come and move stuff for you? That's either a yes or a no.
Yes.
I read the papers. You
Yes.
did. On what date did you have a moving company come?
It was November 1st.
When you hired the moving company, did you give them a list of things to move?
Yes.
And did they move the list of the things that you gave them to move?
Yes.
Correct? And they moved them?
Yes.
So that part of your case is dismissed. It's over. She's keeping the dogs. And we're done here. Case is dismissed.
This court is adjourned.
That's what happens when you get in narcissistic relationships. People manipulate you. I was with him since I was 15. I'm 19 now.
Honestly, I was pretty upset with the outcome of the dogs.
I haven't talked to him in months. This is the first time I've seen him in forever.
She kept coming back. I mean,
I don't like him. I don't want him ever.
done means done, man.
What's done is done. I was so surprised when I found out that she was only 19. Not a real stable place in your life to be getting a dog, and let alone two, when you're not settled. You know, I think that's so unfair for dog owners when they're not settled. And, you know, it's just...
There's an immaturity.
Yeah.
I think what you're saying to me is there's an immaturity. Problem is when you're immature, you don't realize that it's a mistake because an immature person is making a mature judgment. What I actually found... I mean, it was stupid. It wasn't as if it did something horrendous to the dog, but frightened the dog by throwing this square of cheese at its eye.
Well, I've seen the trend, and it actually did start on babies, throwing slices of cheese on babies' heads in high chairs.
What is happening to the world?
Yeah.
What's happening
Too
if
much
somebody
time on
thinks
their
that
hands.
that's funny
Yeah.
to startle a baby or to startle a creature in order to make somebody else laugh?
Yeah.
You know,
The world we live in today.
If morons want to do that, let them stick a broomstick someplace and take a TikTok picture of it on themselves.
Yeah,
On themselves.
I'm with
Why
you.
choose some other living creature? I don't understand that.
I'm with you.
I would build more jails. Your friend set up a website for you.
That's correct.
It was redirected to a porn site.
I have a video I could show you. It's explicit.
Listen, I'm a big girl. I've seen practically everything.
And he is also the only one with the capability to do that.
People can hack into the Pentagon.
This is Judy Justice. Ryan Deitch is suing his former friend, Oliver Miller, for damages after Oliver sabotaged his website.
Court come to order. All rise.
Have a seat, please.
Hello, Judge. Case 3089, Deitch versus Miller.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Mr. Deitch, how long have you known Mr. Miller?
It's been since 7th grade, Your Honor. So what does that make, 8 years now?
Oh, my God, have people changed in
I know.
just a few years?
Tell me
right?
about it.
7th grade, teeny people. You went through middle school together and high school?
That's correct.
Did you do any post-high school schooling?
Not together. We go to different universities, but we've
Which
remained...
school?
I go to DePaul University.
Are you still there?
I'm still there, that's right.
What year are you in?
I'm a senior.
And you, sir?
I'm a senior at Purdue University.
So this is what the case is about. Some time ago, according to you, your friend, without compensation, I assume, because there was nothing about
Correct.
compensation in here, set up a website for you, this friend. At some point, there was an issue of cats. The defendant has 2 cats,
That is correct.
and he was going away on vacation, and he asked you if you would mind the 2 cats.
Yeah, that's correct.
When was that?
That was on July 26th of 2023.
Where was he going?
He was going to Hawaii, Maui, actually.
Who were you going with?
I was going with my brother and my mother.
What did you tell him you needed him to do for the 2 cats?
I told him he needed to come over to the house, feed them, just make sure they're doing fine, hang out for a few minutes, and then that's it.
How many times a day?
Once a day.
Feed them once a day, change water,
Right.
clean up the kitty litter.
That's correct.
Were they indoor, outdoor cats?
Indoor cats.
Now, before you left on vacation, did you give your friend, Mr. Deitch, the instructions on what he had to do?
Yes, Your Honor. Over text, and I have it here.
I'd like to see it.
Great. Yes.
You talk about 1 cat, Rooney.
Yes, Your Honor. She's the more excited one out of the 2. The other one, Stella, really just doesn't need any attention.
You're asking him if he would watch Rooney. Take her out once a day, and he says, feed her and clean the litter box. That's a question. And you said, yeah, it should be pretty easy. Okay. And you left on vacation, and according to your countersuit, the plaintiff was negligent. The cats got out. They were gone for a week. You were hysterical because the cats were not located for a week. But Mr. Deitch's claim is that when you came home from Hawaii and found that the cats were missing, because both cats were missing at that time, when did you come home from Hawaii?
I came home on the 14th of August. We originally planned to be back on the 8th of August, but we were stranded in Hawaii during the Maui wildfires, so we were unable to make it back until the 14th.
And when you came back, you found that both cats were missing.
That's right.
Mr. Deitch says after you found both cats were missing, you got slightly hysterical, as would most people who are cat lovers and find their animals missing, and that in retaliation for that, you did something to the website that you had created for him that when people went to it, instead of clicking onto the website, which Sarah's going to try to explain to me, instead of clicking onto the website and going to the informational portion of the website, it was redirected to a porn site, and that was done in retaliation for his negligently allowing your cats to be lost. That's your claim. Now you're going to tell me about your website. Your website is for what?
So my website is pretty much my professional self. I don't apply to a job. I really don't meet someone professionally without showing them my website. It's sort of...
Well, what is your website?
It's a portfolio site.
Would you give it to Sarah so she can bring it up?
So it's basically a site...
no, not basically. Basically is a filler word.
Okay,
a website has an address.
It is a website that features a little bit about me, my contact information.
Name.
Is the name of the website. I can spell it for you if necessary.
I got it. It does in fact come up.
Okay.
It's basically a professional work page.
Oh, okay.
And so you put it on a business card
and
so
then
people
you
can find more
and
information.
then what do you press for it to transition you to...
Launch portfolio.
There's like a contact page, an about page with some more information, some credits
It seems
that
to
I
be
have.
working correctly now.
Oh, okay. Now, your lawsuit says that somebody hacked into your web page so that when you press this informational web page about what you do, what projects you've done in the past, and they say, oh, my God, this is a nice-looking guy, looks okay, let's see what he's done, because he's applied for a job or something else. They press a button, and it took you to a porn site. So I want to see that.
I have an email from a recruiter who emailed me after she got redirected.
Well, why didn't you take photographs of what it was on the screen? That's very easy.
Okay, I mean, I have a video I could show you. It's explicit, though. I don't know.
Listen, I'm a big girl. I'm 81 years old. I've
Okay.
seen
It's on
practically
my
everything,
phone?
although
Okay.
that's probably not true. They're developing new things all the time.
Ryan Deitch is accusing his former friend, Oliver Miller, of intentionally sabotaging his website. Oliver is countersuing for negligence and emotional distress, claiming Ryan lost his cat.
Okay, if you have the video, I'd like to take a look at
Here
it.
it is. So she'll just press that play button right there. Do you want the volume on or off?
Okay, so I push the play button.
Ah, well, that's not terribly pornographic.
I would describe it as woefully inappropriate for a professional setting.
I believe that you're right. You can put that back. Now, at what point, on what day, did you first notice that?
So that was on August 24th, and I didn't even notice it on my own. Like I said, I received that email from a recruiter at a company.
Okay, can I see the email?
Yes, of course.
Okay, this woman, whoever this is, wrote to you and said, this looks like a bad joke, and I wasn't even going to reach out to you, but then I thought it would be fair to reach out to you because I'm sure you didn't know that this happened.
Yeah.
Okay, well, that's what she's saying.
Yeah.
Did you answer her?
I mean, I did.
No,
But
no, did you... You know where I'm going. This Bethany allegedly wrote this to you, and if I were in business looking for a job, I would immediately contact her. Did you do that?
I did, but by that point, they'd already offered the job to someone else.
I don't care. I just want to see when you reached out to her.
I don't think I have that. I was over the phone. I called her.
I don't believe you.
Okay.
How's that? Goody-goody? Are we getting goody-goody? Are we getting close to what's going on? I knew it would just take me a little bit of time, guys. I knew it would just take me a little bit of time. Okay, so you don't have what would any normal business person who has set themselves up would have, which is an immediate response. Oh, Bethany, thank you. I'm so glad you directed me to this.
Yeah.
I'm going to take it down right away. Is the job still available? All of that would be here because that's the way you do it, which you don't have.
No, I don't. I mean, it was a couple days later that I was notified of that, and I called her. But like I said, the job had already been offered. There really wasn't much I could do at that point.
Nice pivot.
I
nice
describe
pivot.
it as that.
Nice pivot.
Okay.
Okay, now let us assume, for the purpose of this case, that this did in fact happen. What proof do you have that the defendant hacked into your computer and redirected it to this other site, which is clearly an inappropriate site for somebody looking for a techie job?
So he actually admitted it to me over the phone, and he is also the only one with the capability to do that. And
no, he's not the only one with the capability, sir. People can hack into the Pentagon.
That's true, but he wouldn't have to hack. He literally...
Well, you wouldn't have to, but you can.
He controls it.
But you can. When you received this email, you didn't respond to the person who sent it. How did you communicate with him?
I called him, and I texted him as well. I was very upset.
Well, just a second. Now I'll see the text.
Okay. This is it. It's at the bottom.
I assume that you wrote him, this is serious, on August 24th. Is there any response to this?
She did not respond.
He did not respond to that. So bottom line is you really have no proof that he hacked into this. So how long did that website, let's say it was August 24th, that you noticed it, and he came home on August 14th, not finding his cats. When was it taken down?
On August 25th is when it was restored. But I assume it was put to that inappropriate site soon after he got back, maybe 10, 9...
You can't assume anything. That's a guess.
Correct. That's a guess.
That's a guess. But it was taken down August 25th and put up again August 26th.
Yeah, it was restored.
Now, what I want you to do is tell me, now we have September, October, November, December, right up past January. Just for my own information, how many jobs have you had from this website? Name, person, and how much you were paid from this website since August 26th. It can't be a lot.
Yeah, I'm a college student.
Okay, it can't be a lot, so it has to be a handful. A handful you would remember.
0.
0. Okay, that's very good. That helps me a lot. That helps me a lot because there are no damages for this business. Okay, now we're going to go to your counterclaim.
Great.
Great, right?
Yes.
Terrific. He was negligent in taking care of your cats and they got out.
He was negligent.
I just said to you, that's a yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
And you got home and you didn't find your cats.
That's correct.
One cat came back relatively quickly.
That's correct.
Which cat?
Stella.
Because Stella's a homebody.
That's correct.
And the other one sort of enjoyed his freedom.
Yes, she enjoyed her freedom.
She enjoyed her freedom. And she was out for how long?
7 days.
And then she came home.
That's right, Your Honor.
How'd she look? Happy?
She was happy to be back, but...
Happy to be back, so she decided to come home.
That's right, Your Honor.
And you have them both now?
Yes, yes.
Good. So your counterclaim's dismissed, as is your claim, sir. You can't prove it. We're done.
Your Honor,
Thank you very
Your
much.
Honor.
We are finished. Finito.
May I draw
Done.
upon my witness?
No.
This court is adjourned.
I trusted a friend, and that was really my only mistake here.
He was lying the entire time. I don't know why a good friend would do that after I helped him build his website and he just tried to stab me in the back.
I'm a very forgiving person, so I hate to count it out completely, but things are not looking good for us.
You know, I think he got a bit of karma there, and I'm glad he, hopefully missed out on something, but I did not do it.
You know, I'm not so sure about that case. Let us assume that everything was as presented. The plaintiff had absolutely no damage that he could prove. He might have done that.
Sure.
You know, you lost my cats, I'm going to screw around with your webpage, and I'm absolutely certain that they are going to have dinner tomorrow night together.
I'm sure as well.
I'm sure. So you were going to go into her space, make and sell your CBD's infused ice cream.
CBD and THC, Your Honor.
And you still have his ice cream equipment, correct?
We had a fallout, so.
And you're saying, I want my equipment back.
I just want the value. I don't want the equipment anymore.
I don't care what you want. You've been eating too much ice cream.
This is Judy Justice. Kyle Bishop is suing his former business partner, Bridget Pinder, for the return of ice cream equipment.
Court come to order. All rise.
Have a seat, please.
Judge, case 3137, Bishop versus Pinder.
Thank you.
Welcome.
Mr. Bishop, you and Miss Pinder are both in the business of products that contain CBD.
CBD and THC, Your Honor.
CBD and what?
THC.
You have to tell me what that is. Some people don't know.
It's a cannabis derivative.
That's good for what?
It's good for pain management, sleep, stuff like that.
And your particular specialty was CBD's infused ice cream.
Correct.
And you take that for pain management.
You can.
What else do you take it for?
You can take it recreationally, too, if you want.
Just to be happy.
Just to be happy.
It would seem to me that that's why you would take ice cream.
Sure.
Just to be happy. How long have you been involved in that business?
Since 2018, Your Honor.
Just my own curiosity. How'd you get involved in the ice cream part of CBDs?
It was basically just a fun way to infuse the CBD or THC.
And how do you buy the CBDs? Does it come in a box?
It comes in a distillate. So it's comes in a liter jar.
A liquid?
Yep.
And where do they get that from?
They extract it from the plant itself.
And you buy it from a company?
Yeah, yep, the extraction company, yep.
Where are they located?
In Oregon.
Must be a good business.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, and you invested in this ice cream machinery.
Mm-hmm.
I assume there's no difference between the ice cream machinery to make ice cream.
No, none at all.
And one to make ice cream infused with CBD.
None.
Okay. When did you purchase the equipment?
So the freeze dryer was purchased on February 22nd of 23. That was just one of the machines, one of the three.
And how much was that machine?
That machine was exactly $2,904.02.
Okay.
But there's also interest on it, because I'm doing a payment plan on it.
Just tell me what the second piece of equipment was.
Sure. And that would be a winter ice cream machine.
Okay, when did you purchase that?
This one was purchased on January 9th of 22. That was the second ice cream machine that I have.
And the third one?
I don't have the exact date, but I do have proof of purchase.
What was the year?
22.
Did you buy it from a private party?
Yes.
Okay. And how much was that?
That was $250.
Okay. And the one that you bought on January 9th, 2022 was how much?
$300.
$34.54 is what you paid for the equipment.
Correct.
You have any loans out on the equipment?
I do. Yep.
And that would be on the one you purchased in 2023?
Correct.
And how much is left on that?
I actually don't know. I just keep making payments on it.
When was the last time you made a payment on it?
This month.
Now, Ms. Pinder, you're in the same business, and what I gather was he leased some space, and then he had some trouble in his space. You used to be in that space, and you were moving into new space.
We were already in new space.
You were already in new space, and he asked you if he could move his ice cream equipment over to your space and sell stuff out of your space.
Correct. We were going to collaborate. I'm sorry.
And when was that?
That was in July of 2023.
And that was the plan. He had his ice cream infused, and you are involved in CBDs. What kind? What do you sell?
So we grow, process, and make all of our own products. So we have a hemp farm where we grow all of our own hemp, and then we process it ourselves. So we get an oil rosin out of our plant, and then we take that and we use that in our products. We were going to collaborate with Kyle on an ice cream product, and that is how we ended up
So she would supply the liquid?
No, she didn't supply anything.
No, she would.
Sorry.
I didn't say she did. I said if you're going to collaborate, were you going to buy your product from her?
We could, yes.
I actually did supply. Oh, sorry.
Well, that sounds like a collaboration.
Right.
Right? Mm-hmm. I mean, if she processes her own liquid.
Right, but it's more cost effective to buy it in bulk the way I was doing it versus making it.
So how were you going to collaborate with her?
It was going to be a 50-50 partnership between the profit made.
So you were going to go into her space, make and sell your ice cream.
Right.
And she would get half the profit.
Right.
In exchange for your rent. Is that the deal?
We didn't have a deal on rent or anything.
Okay, so you didn't have a deal on rent, but you were going to split profits on his product.
Correct.
Okay, and there was a kerfuffle between the two of you when?
About July 26th, 2023.
And you were no longer collaborating after that?
Correct.
And you still have his ice cream equipment in your store?
Correct. And the reason that I have his ice... Oh, okay.
And that's what he wants back?
Well, no, actually, I do. I just want the value. I don't want the equipment anymore.
I don't care what you want.
Sure.
You want your equipment back.
Well, actually, I want the value of the equipment.
She's not going to pay you for the equipment. If I rule that she has to give it back to you, she's going to give it back to you. You got to go pick it up from wherever it is. Okay.
Bishop claims his former business partner, Bridget Pinder, is wrongfully withholding his ice cream equipment. Bridget is countersuing for the cost of CBD products and defamation.
Now, is a theory that you're holding on to his equipment, that he has some of your product?
Yes, ma'am.
So, in effect, what you did was put a lien on his equipment, even though you didn't put a lien on it.
Correct.
You have to return his equipment.
Okay.
And you have 5 days to do that. You go there if you need to go there with a sheriff or a marshal. We'll put that in the order.
I've already done that once. I've already done that once, Your Honor.
Well, now you do it with an order. 5 days, you pick up your equipment. Okay. Now, you paid $34.54 for the equipment. Would you mind telling me why you're suing for $7,000?
Basically for damages done to the business as well.
What damages?
Loss in profit and wages.
How do you know that? What proof do you have of that?
I can't sell any product, Your Honor.
Well, what proof do you have of what you could sell?
I do have other clientele that would purchase.
How do I know that? You get your equipment back.
Okay.
Be happy. Now, she has a counterclaim. She says you have some of her product.
I do.
First, how did you come into possession of her product?
We agreed upon the old space that we were both currently at. It was a 60-40 split.
Just a minute. You mean in your old place that you left?
Yes, yep.
Before you left the old space, she gave you some of her product for you to sell.
Right. And then I still owed on that product after closing.
Did you have a written contract?
No.
How did you keep track of what she had given you to sell?
We'd basically just do it through the POS system.
The what?
The POS system, point of sales.
On my end, I would keep track of every time I would bring product out to the store or one of my employees would bring product. And then I also have copies of my wholesale books and my lists, if you would like, so that you can see how much things cost. And
Mr. Bishop, I'd like you to take a look at this and see if this represents a fair and accurate representation of the product that Ms. Pinder gave you to sell on consignment.
These are the correct products, but not the quantity.
Do you have what the quantity is?
I do not.
Well, why don't you keep it? I mean, you're in business. If you don't have it and she has it, then I must rely on what she has. Mr. Bishop, you got to stop eating all that ice cream, sir.
No, I do have conversations.
You eat up all the product. You know, you're not in business anymore. So where is all of her product?
It's in storage right now.
How long has it been in storage?
About 4 months.
What's the exact date it went into storage?
I don't know, Your Honor.
July was when he left his store. So
it was actually May 11th was the last day, Your Honor.
Okay, so I'm sorry, May 11th was his last day. And our products are not very shelf stable. They have about 6 months to a year shelf stability. So those products would not be viable anymore.
Tell me, Mr. Bishop, how come you put the products in storage in May?
That's just because we're transferring over to a new spot. Well, trying to anyway. And then we're just continually trying to find a new spot.
Well, what happened with her spot?
We had a fallout, so.
He was never coming to my new spot. His old spot is where that I was in prior to him renting it. So we've never been in business together. We've never had like a spot or anything like that together.
But that was the plan.
No,
that
was not.
the plan.
The plan was for him to make ice cream in our processing facility, but not for us to ever share storefront together.
So his ice cream equipment was placed by him in your processing facility, not the store?
Correct.
So he never really used it to make ice cream?
No, I asked him multiple times in multiple text messages to come in and make the product because we were supposed to be making a product together. And he would always give me excuses like, I don't have gas money, I can't get there today, this and that. And then the product not being viable, we also went back and forth with that. I kept asking him to make something with a longer shelf life, things like that. So that didn't happen.
May I see some of the text messages?
Yeah.
And then I'd like you to tell me.
So these are in order. This is from where we were talking in July 26th. There's so this is me asking for my products back. Maybe we'll start with that. I don't know. I don't know if you want the whole thing.
Yeah, I want everything. The defendant said to you, I'll need my products back and money you owe me first. I assume you asked for your ice cream equipment.
Correct.
I've been asking you for weeks when you're coming in, and you didn't, so now I don't have time. Well, how much did you owe her in July? Mr. Bishop, you clearly, based upon all of these messages, owe her money.
Correct.
And you owe her some serious money in July. And what you're doing is saying to her, listen, I'm not doing well right now, so you got to stop stressing me. You're asking her to be like your mother. I owe you money, but don't talk to me about that now because I'm very stressed.
It was only
and I have to make money, and I need my freezer equipment to make money, and you won't give it to me. That's what you're saying to her. Now, he says to you, I know I owe you $700, and it's just frustrating that the faucet just shut off. Trust me, I know. But we need to work together on this to make it work. There is a spot in Glencoe for $800, all utilities with a small kitchenette. And only asking for 1 year's rent, I can sell things and do DoorDash to meet that.
The $700, Your Honor, that was for product he had sold in the store, not for the product of mine that he still has. So I agree
so
that
that's what he...
Yeah, he was selling our products.
That's not right, Your Honor.
So that was the $700 that he had sold that he owed us from selling the product, but he still has all of my other products in storage.
He has other inventory?
Yes.
Okay. Mr. Bishop, I'm reading all these messages, and it appears that you said to her, I owe you $700.
Correct.
Now, in my rudimentary business mind, that means that that is not materials that you had of hers that are currently in storage, but materials that you sold and were her part of the profits. You said it was a 60-40 split in the old store.
That was for the collaboration we were going to do.
Yeah, that's for what you sold already. That's for what you sold and you didn't pay her.
But there's no way I have $10,000 worth of product. There's absolutely.
Well, but you see, I don't know that because you just took it and didn't keep inventory. You just took it. Gimme. I want to make some ice cream.
Has accused his former business partner, Bridget Pinder, of refusing to return his ice cream equipment. Bridget is countersuing, claiming Kyle owes for the cost of CBD products.
So my question to you, Mr. Bishop, is how much money did you owe her?
Only $700, Your Honor.
I want you to show me how you get to that figure.
Sure.
Your Honor, that was this.
There's her. Oop. Excuse me, sir.
What you're showing me is $700 that you already owe her for products that you sold.
Right, but that's all that was owed.
Well, what's in storage?
It's about like $500 worth of product. It's not much.
That's not what she says.
Right, that's what she said.
Why didn't you give it back to her?
I mean, we tried talking. I even brought a cop for a civil standby. We couldn't really work it out.
What do you mean you couldn't work it out? Why don't you just give her back all the products that you had back in July? They were still good.
Well, I was going to sell those in my new spot. I thought I was going to get a new spot by next month, but that never panned out, unfortunately.
Well, that's not her fault.
Right.
You kept stuff that didn't belong to you.
Right. But
Right?
I do have text messages saying that I was going to sell that in the new spot.
But you didn't.
Well, I can't.
Why?
Because I don't have a new spot.
Well, that's not her fault.
Right, no, I know it's not.
You've been eating too much ice cream, Mr. Bishop. Try chicken and fish. It'll help you out a lot. It's good for your brain.
Your Honor.
What?
He's also been defaming us on social media and YouTube, which I have copies of. He also has product with our logo on them still on his Facebook page that we've asked him to take down multiple times, which he hasn't, and he laughs at us about.
Merci.
Yeah. The picture of the YouTube, Your Honor, is him sharing our text messages that I gave you on YouTube, calling us thieves.
Who cares? I have a saying, if you don't want to see the picture on the front page of the New York Times, don't take the picture. And if you don't want to see something republished, don't send a text message about it because it can be republished. I don't know what this means. Can you get away with stealing? Hashtag law, hashtag education. What is that?
The content of that was actually a guy stealing a watch and then the state pressing charges against the guy that stole. So telling her basically that the state would press charges against her for stealing my stuff.
But taking
Well,
my business.
she actually should not have retained your stuff without the intervention of a court, but that's why we're here now, sir.
Correct.
And the defendant says that the value of the merchandise that you have is not, as you speculate, $500 or whatever, but more in the neighborhood of, she says, thousands of dollars, because you're suing for a congregate amount of $10,000. You break that up in product and in defamation. Now, you have a fixed amount that I can see of what product you gave him, when, and your cost on them. You have that?
Yes, ma'am.
I'd like to see it.
It's on the back sheet of the one that I gave you, 11,000, the one that looks like this, Your Honor.
Okay? You asked him for his stuff.
I did.
Mm-hmm. Do you remember what he told you?
He told me that he was going to be getting a new space and that he was going to sell my stuff in his new space. So I asked him multiple times for my things back because I know that they're not going to do well in a storage space. I even told him, give them back to me and I will give you new stuff when you open your new space.
That's not true, Your Honor.
It is true, Your Honor. That's what
There's no text message saying that.
No, I told that to him.
It really doesn't matter, does it?
Yeah, because I wanted him to succeed. I'm in the part of our huge part of our community.
That's not true, Your Honor.
And
Don't
I did.
interrupt her.
I wanted him to succeed. I want a lot of people to succeed, and so I try to help others in our community, and that's what I was trying to do here, Your Honor.
She actually had a lobbyist group make my product illegal. I don't know how that's helping me.
Mr. Bishop, let me ask you this question. You're coming to court today
Right.
asking for the return of your equipment
Correct. But now I can't even make the product because it's illegal now.
because it's illegal.
Correct. She made it illegal.
Wow. She's not a legislator. She may have lobbied to make it illegal, but she's not a legislator.
Well, no,
can't
she
make-
used a group called...
I don't care, Mr. Bishop. You have to understand. I don't care. What I'm saying to you is you're coming into a court of equity and you're saying, I want my equipment back, which I can still use because it's equipment. And
Well, I
Ms.
can't use it to make ice cream.
I don't care what you use it for. You can use it to make ice cream, so you just can't make it with CBD-infused ice cream.
Correct.
Make as much ice cream as you like. And as far as the defendant is concerned, if you can't make CBD-infused ice cream, she has no use for the equipment.
Correct.
Except to sell it. But if you can't use it, is that right?
Correct.
If you can't use it, then you really don't want it back.
Correct.
Then I'm not going to give it to you back.
Okay.
And I'm going to take off the value based upon what you owe her because she can't use the product anymore. Its shelf life is gone, and you've retained it. Do you understand?
Correct.
So she says the value of her product is $11,000. My court maximum is 10. She's got the equipment that you can't use. I don't know what she can sell it for. You paid $3,000 for the equipment. You have $10,000 worth of stuff that you can no longer use because he's retained it in storage. Sell whatever you can of his ice cream equipment.
Okay.
I'm awarding you $7,000 on your counterclaim.
Thank you, Judge.
The plaintiff's claim is dismissed. On the counterclaim, $7,000. Thank you.
Thank you, Your
Court is
Honor.
adjourned.
We just had a disagreement, unfortunately. We had a bit of a falling out, so.
He wouldn't show up to make the product. The shelf life on the product was not long enough, and it wasn't reliable.
They put in law that my ice cream is now illegal, so.
We did not do that. We did not get anything banned. We worked really hard to get THC legalized in Minnesota, and that's what we did.
Oh, we're just gonna move forward.
We will never work with him in the future.
I should have asked whether these products that contain the CBDs that she sells, that he took and has in storage, I wonder if they have an expiration date.
A lot of them do. I think it's a plant derivative. Sometimes, balms or salves that have CBD in them do all have an expiration
Date on it.
Just because they do come from a plant derivative, so they have some form of expiration on
Date. Yeah, you see that, when products that you buy in the grocery store.
It sounded
best
accurate
used by.
when she said 6
that
months to
expires
a year
6 months.
around.
Yeah.
But yeah, it would have been a good question.
Jessica Gaines is suing her sister, Joanne Gaines, for car damages and harassment.
Court come to order. All rise.
Have a seat, please.
Hello, Judge. Case number 2003, Gaines versus Gaines.
Thank you, Kevin.
You're welcome.
Miss Gaines, you and the defendant are half-sisters. You share the same father.
Yes.
Have you always had a relationship with your father?
Yes.
And you, Miss Gaines?
Yes.
There came a time when you were living with your dad.
Yes.
From when to when were you living with your dad?
From October 2018 to December 2021.
And who was living at the same residence?
It was me, my dad, and a roommate, my dad's roommate.
No children?
Yes, my children stayed there as well. I do apologize.
Well, that's important.
Sorry.
How many children?
I have 4 daughters.
How old are they?
11, 10, 4, and 5.
Were you working?
Yes.
From 18 to 21?
I stopped working in November 2019, and I started back working October 21.
What kind of work do you do?
I work for United Healthcare. I'm a customer service rep for Optum.
Just so that I get a sense, because this is a family issue, you clearly had a life before you moved to your father's house in 2018. Can you tell me why you moved into your father's house in 2018?
Because where I was living, the house was smaller, and my dad felt like he wanted me and my children to be in a safer environment.
So you had an ongoing, constant relationship with him?
Yes.
And Miss Gaines, tell me about you. Did you ever live with your father?
I lived with my father when I was in the 9th grade.
But not since you were a child?
No.
Did you maintain a relationship with him?
I did. Me and my father do mechanic work together most of the time, so I'm at his house a lot.
Was that a business that you had together?
Just more so for fun, family time. If he needed help, I could go in and assist him. I just use that as extra time.
And that was consistent and up through 2021?
Yes.
So you saw your sister there? Because she was living there with her children?
Yes, on occasion, though. Her and her kids would be out more often. I would just go and visit my dad when the house was empty and he needed more company and help and assistance because he was there alone.
How old was he?
He's about 24 years older than me, so I believe he's like 59 now.
Did you see your sister at your father's house in the years that you were living there?
She came to visit, yes.
And they worked together on mechanical stuff?
I never saw that. Me and my sister, we had a close relationship, so she would come over and hang out with me all the time.
Okay, good. And then, unfortunately, something happened. You want to tell me when that was and what it was?
October, I believe it was the 30th, me and my sister, we got into an altercation.
Tell me the beginnings of it, because each of you claimed that the other harassed, claimed your sister assaulted you, and both of you claimed some damage to automobiles that was caused by the other during the course of these altercations. Okay, so tell me what happened in October.
So the Thursday prior to the 30th, which was a Saturday in October, my sister was supposed to come to my house and do my kids' hair. But that was something that I had just asked her to do. Like we said, I stayed with my dad. They were having some issues, so
Who was having issues?
My sister and my dad.
Were you having issues with your father around that time?
I was told I was having issues with my father at that time by my sister Jessica.
Did you discuss it with your father?
I did, and I found out that that was a lie that Jessica had told him, was making up lies to make us not like each other.
Okay, so there was some bad feeling about that.
Right, so I was inviting her over because she was struggling, and I needed my kids' hair done for picture day. So
She was what?
Struggling.
Struggling.
Financially.
Okay.
So I offered to pay her to do my kids' hair. My dad did inform me that she wasn't able to come to the house, that I needed to go to her house. And I don't really know what her situation was like over there, so I let my dad know I was uncomfortable. And I also let her know our dad said it was not okay for you to come over here with us today. And he wanted an apology.
He wanted an apology?
Yes.
From her?
Yes.
Is your father well?
He has diabetes and...
Okay, but there's nothing preventing him from coming to court. Okay, well then you can't tell me what he told you because that's hearsay. Did your sister come over to the house on October 30th?
Yes.
Approximately what time?
I believe 11:30 in the morning.
Had you had a conversation with her that morning and told her not to come over?
Yes.
Did you tell her why?
Oh, I can't speak on it because he's not
No.
here. I don't.
My question is, did you tell your sister why?
Yes.
What did you tell your sister?
That our dad did not want her there.
Is that what she told you?
That is what she told me.
Did you ask her why?
I did.
What did she tell you?
She told me that my dad was under the impression that I was hanging out with drug dealers and dangerous people, and that he didn't want me around.
Did you call your father?
I did.
And you had a discussion with him?
I did.
Were you invited over to the house?
I called.
That's either a yes or a no.
No.
So now you have information, whether accurate or not, that you weren't welcome in your father's house for whatever reason, or for the reason that was articulated to you. You called your father to confirm that, and your father did, in fact, confirm that.
He confirmed that there was a issue between Jessica and I, and that we needed to resolve it. He was not going to get involved with it. But he did not confirm that I was denied access to his house.
Well, just from my information, what did you think the issue was between you and your sister?
She was lying to my father.
Well, no, your father didn't say that your sister's lying to me. Your father had to have indicated to you that these are the things that I'm being told, and you have to resolve that with your sister.
Yes.
But your father told you not to come to the house.
No, he did not tell me not to come to the house.
Did he suggest you come to the house?
Neither. He neither suggested I come or not to. He just said I should
resolve it with her.
Yes.
Okay. And you went over there that morning?
I stated to her that I would come over and resolve it right then and there.
You told him?
They were both on the phone. Okay. I called his cell phone.
Did your sister, then your sister said, I'm going to come over, and you knew she was coming?
Yes, she said.
Okay, that's a yes. You knew she was coming, so this wasn't a surprise visit. You knew she was coming. Now tell me what happened when she got there.
So when she gets there, me and my dad were standing outside already. She gets out of her car. I approach her car. It's a little back and forth, and then...
No, tell me the back and forth, and try to keep your voice up.
Sorry. So when I approach her car, she jumps out the car. Then she reaches for a taser. So then I close her in the door. And once my dad, we were outside together, he pulls me off the door. She then takes her car, it's a video. She's attempting to run me over with her car. She did manage to run over my foot. I then went in the house. I got a broomstick, like an attachment, like the broom wasn't attached. But I got the broomstick, and I went outside, and I started swinging it at her car. And I damaged the hood of her car and the window.
And then she left?
No. She stayed at the house. I went back in the house. She called the police, and I'm not sure what happened after she called the police.
Well, did the police arrive? My
dad informed me that we didn't know what she was telling the police, that when police come, everybody gets arrested. So he said, I had something to do that day, go get a facial, an appointment at 1 o'clock. So I just went ahead and headed off to that.
So you left?
Yes.
You knew she called the police and you left, leaving your dad to explain to the police what happened?
My dad didn't talk to the police neither.
So they just came?
As far as I know, they just came, knocked on the door when I called to see if there was a report made. The police said no report was made. That was it.
Okay, fine. So the damage that was done to your car was done with a broomstick handle?
Yes.
To her car?
Yes.
By you?
Yes.
Now, Miss Gaines, did you have a taser in your car?
I don't own a taser.
And when you got to the house, your father was standing with her?
No.
Where was he?
He was exiting the house. She was already, when I pulled up, she was exiting the house.
But he was outside?
She was already at the sidewalk when I pulled up. Okay. So he was at the door.
Well, why don't you tell me your version of what happened when you pulled up?
I pulled up. I was recording the incident on my phone. I don't have that recording because it was on Instagram. I didn't want the embarrassment to go on any longer. I tried to screen record it, but it didn't save.
Okay, so you don't have video?
I don't have that full video. I do have a short video of her actually attacking the car with the stick that she came out of the house with, though. So I do have that.
I'd like to look at it.
I have the full video.
Okay, I'd like to see hers, and thank you for telling me you have the full video.
Okay. I think the full video might be more sufficient because I have bits and pieces of the video.
Kevin, I'm going to take both. Would you pull up the video that you have on your phone?
We're going to go over to my family member's house right now to find out why we want to fight me. She has literally did everything in her possibility to make my dad my enemy. She has moved into his house, told him I'm on drugs. My family have come up with this excuse that I'm on drugs, and that's why nobody has come to see me. Yeah, do it. I'm on live.
First, Miss Gaines, you do understand that you damaged your sister's car?
Yes.
Okay, and that you have to pay for that.
Joanne Gaines vandalized her car and harassed her. Joanne is countersuing for an assault and filing a false restraining order against her.
Okay, Miss Gaines, you do understand that you damaged your sister's car?
Yes.
Okay, and that you have to pay for that?
She sued me for the damages already.
She sued you? Did she get the damages?
Yes.
Oh.
She was granted.
Okay. Okay, so you sued her already and you got a judgment.
Yes, for that incident.
For this damage.
But not the damage that would happen on December the 12th.
Just a second. Sorry. Okay, so we don't have to deal with this damage. And subsequent to this damage that you caused to your sister's car, you had damage to your car.
Yes.
And tell me what that was.
So on 3 different occasions, she came to my house and popped both of my tires on the driver's side of my car.
Okay, and this was after October 30th?
Yes.
You'd been living at your father's house for 3 years with your children. During that 3-year period of time, was your car ever damaged?
No.
Did you ever have tires popped on the car?
No.
Did you confront your sister at any time about the damage to your car?
No.
According to this, you have a video of her near your car on one of those occasions.
Yes.
I'd like to see it. Before I even look at it, Ms. Gaines, you received a judgment and were compensated for the damage to your car caused by your sister. Do you acknowledge that you or someone acting on your behalf flattened her tires?
One tire.
Okay, so you say you flattened them one time.
One tire, one time.
And when?
Right before November.
Okay, and what did you flatten the tires with?
Knife.
So
Just
you
one
slashed.
tire.
She did say tires, didn't
Just
she?
one tire.
She said one tire, one time.
Okay, and that was in November?
Beginning of November.
Did you pay for that tire?
I did not.
And do you have photographs of the flattened tires?
Yes.
I'd like to take a look at them. How many times were they flattened?
My tires were flattened 3 times.
Tires. How many tires the first time?
2.
How many tires the second time?
Sorry, I just want to make sure. 2.
How many tires the third time?
2.
And you filed a case against your sister for damage to your car on what date?
This is the court case I filed for damages for my car. Well, originally I just filed for...
When did she file the case, against you for damages to her car?
December 16th.
And your tires had already been flattened how many times?
3.
Do you have a bill for those tires?
Yes, well, I had took the receipt before, so I don't have the receipt, but I had the police report where the police...
No, I want to see the receipt.
I'm sorry.
I need damages. You want damages, you have to show me that you spent money to replace the tires and how much they cost.
Yeah, I'm sorry. When I went to court, when she was suing me for her car, I just took the receipts as proof, and when the judge took it, I never got it back.
Did you countersue her for the tires when
No.
she sued you?
No.
Well, why would the judge take your receipts for the tire?
Because he took all of our evidence at the end of the case.
No. The only reason a court would take your evidence is if you had a counterclaim for your damage.
I'm new to the court thing, so I didn't know to countersue. So when I had to file paperwork, so when I went to court on our court date, I was just letting the judge know, like, look, she did these damages to me. I didn't file a countersue claim. I didn't know I had to do that.
The judge looked at it and didn't return that to you?
He said any evidence that we wanted to be taken into consideration to leave it with him, and I left it with him.
And what kind of tires did you purchase?
I believe they say Bridgestone on them.
And what's the name, make, and model of your car?
It's a 2005 Cadillac Escalade.
Can you get me any information about that, Sarah? Cost of cars, 2000 Escalade, what kind of tires it uses? Okay, so the harassment that you're talking about by your sister, because that's the other part of your claim, the vandalism is one, which Sarah is looking up now. The damages for harassment were the tires being slashed, is that right?
A part of it, yes.
Well, what's the other part?
Well, when I filed for the restraining order, the judge said it sounded like a family matter, so I didn't.
So the court dismissed it?
Yes. So on December 24th, which was Christmas Eve, I woke up and my tires were popped again. So I then asked my dad, is it okay if I record you reaching out to my sister, asking her to leave me alone so that if I do go to court again, I have some evidence? Because again, my dad didn't come to court back then. And he was like, I don't think I can do that because then she'll start messing with me and I can't afford to be down in the morning.
Okay.
And then I was just like, okay, well, at that point, I didn't feel safe there no more because she had already called Children's Services on me. And then every 2 weeks, my tires were being popped. I really couldn't afford it.
I got it. Do you recall how much you spent for each tire?
Each tire was $120.
So you spent a little over $700?
Yes.
Okay.
That's about right from what I'm seeing.
Okay. So, Ms. Gaines, let me tell you how I'm going to rule on her request for damages for her car. But I believe that some things make sense and some things don't. And if somebody has an MO of slashing tires as their reaction to having their car damaged, and if you acknowledge doing it and doing it one time, it is not a giant leap from my imagination that you caused the same damage to all 6 of her tires. I don't find that a giant leap. I think the whole thing is foolish, and I actually don't see the basis for coming out with a broomstick, except that you were angry and lashing out at her car. You could have stayed in your house and called the police. There was no reason for you to come out of the house at all, except to confront your sister. You had an application for a restraining order against your sister?
This is correct.
And you had a trial on that?
This is correct.
And you were granted a restraining order?
Yes.
For how long?
6 months.
And that expired?
It hasn't expired yet. This was an incident. It was caused by her coming to my house after court.
Okay.
And causing more damage.
Okay. So I think that she had the right to file for a restraining order against you because part of your action is filing false restraining order. Part of your case was for vandalism to your car, but that was already done in another court.
That was part of the first case. We've been going since October.
Okay.
Jessica Gaines accuses her sister, Joanne Gaines, of slashing her tires. Joanne claims she needed to file a restraining order against Jessica.
Okay, let's get to the assault part of your claim that I would like to hear. First, I watched the video, and I have to tell you, Ms. Gaines, that in my judgment, what you took a big whiff of was a blunt. Is that what they call that?
That is.
Okay. And that's what was in the video, and that's while you were on your way over there and very, very angry and driving a car and lost in a sea of smoke. You understand? And I think that that's both foolish, bad judgment, dangerous to drive a car that way.
I agree, I'm sorry.
And shows an absolute lack of judgment. So I would think about that kind of behavior. Again, if I were you, want to tell me when and under what circumstances your sister assaulted you and where you were hospitalized or treated medically?
When I pulled up to the house, she had asked me to jump out of the vehicle.
How did she ask you to jump out of the vehicle?
She was standing on the sidewalk. I was putting the car in park, and she stated, hop out. And I said, okay, I guess we're hopping out.
That was sort of silly. If somebody said to you, hop out, I would stay in the car.
I'm trying to talk to my dad. I have a...
Okay. Well, you talk to your dad later when things have calmed down and you're not high on weed.
I understand that you...
You got the damages for your car by way of a judgment. I've awarded you for the tires $726. $726 for the tires. That's the judgment of the court. We're finished. Thank you very much.
This court is adjourned.
I only slashed her tires one time, one tire, like I stated. It was fair. There's no receipts that were presented, so they were never damaged.
We got it, we got the proof, so.
She stated that I ran her over by the car, but she was walking back into her house. How are you walking if your foot got ran over by a car?
It's embarrassing.
Jealousy? Maybe I don't feel that way. This is my younger sister. I love my younger sister. I don't wish that this wasn't even going on.
I really hope we have a better relationship going forward. I hope this is all over and behind us.
Yeah, there's no more family for me, I guess.
We're siblings. Siblings go through stuff.
So, my Sarah, the case to me, we've seen it before, siblings fighting, very unfortunate. So I'm going to ask you a question because I know I come from a separate generations, 3 down from you.
Okay.
And I've already accepted the fact that many states in this country have voted in favor of legislation which suggests that marijuana is a legal substance and decriminalizing it. Fine, just like alcohol. Yeah. That's what my grandchildren tell me. You drink alcohol, we do something else. But am I crazy? Because I watched that video, and to me, that was the most interesting part of the video. And then she took this big cigar thing, which I found out what those were called back in my family court days, and it's interesting that I could recall it, called a blunt. Tell me what you think. Would it be no different if she took a big bottle of vodka from the passenger seat and took a couple of swigs before she got to a fight?
Yeah.
Okay, I want your take on that.
Yeah, even as a different generation, there's responsibilities and regulations and rules, the same with alcohol. So while it might be legalized, decriminalized in many states, you still have to follow the rules and act responsibly. I think there are different physiological effects.
Would you say that there was any jurisdiction in this country where you could smoke marijuana while you were driving?
I think it's still considered under the influence, which is just as bad as driving under the influence of alcohol. So I think it impairs your judgment all the same. And showing up to a fight high, I think, is equivalent to showing up drunk. And
even if you were going to a party.
Yeah, you're behind the wheel of tons of weight and something that could be used as a deadly weapon. Yeah. So you got to be as sharp as you can.
Yeah, just from this interaction, you're absolutely right legally, but I'm not getting the outrage.
No, outrageous. I think it is. Okay. I think driving under the influence of marijuana, alcohol, outrageous.
Yeah. Okay, well, I'm glad
Nishera Garrett is suing her former friend, Michael Kodia, and his girlfriend, Brianna Serrano, for a personal loan, car damages, and an assault.
Court come to order. All rise.
Have a seat, please.
Hello, Judge. Case number 2056, Garrett versus Kodia scenario.
Thank you. Miss Garrett, this gentleman, Michael Kodia, is that
correct?
Kodia?
Yes.
You and Mr. Kodia have been lifelong friends. According to what I read in the complaint. Lifelong, you're both very young. How do you know him?
Well, we used to ride bikes together. His mom used to also braid my hair when I was a child every Sunday.
But you and Mr. Kodia were never involved in any relationship other than just friendship?
No.
And Mr. Kodia, Miss Serrano is currently your girlfriend?
Correct. Yes, yeah.
She had been your girlfriend and been living with you for a while, and you have a child together?
Yes, correct. Well, she's currently pregnant. We're expecting, yeah, they're expecting.
Great. You had a fight.
Yes.
With Miss Serrano. And that was around June of this year?
Yes, Your Honor.
And it was a substantial enough fight that Miss Serrano left the home. And she left the home with your child. And how old is your child?
As I was saying, we are expecting.
So you don't have a child together?
She's 6 months pregnant, currently.
Okay. So you're just living, and she left.
Correct.
At about the same time, Miss Garrett, your friend, needed a place to stay.
I wouldn't say needed a place to stay, but...
What would you say?
It was more like, I kind of had a clue, like she had a place to stay, but it was just one of those situations.
No, look over here. Look over here. Okay.
Sorry.
Now, Mr. Cody, I want you to understand there are very few stories that are new under the sun. I want you to really understand that. I have children. I have grown grandchildren, boys and girls. I've seen all the movies that I want to see about romance and guys. So your girlfriend leaves you.
Yeah.
Yes. And would it be fair to say that you invite Miss Garrett to come and stay with you?
Yes, it would be fair.
Had you ever invited her to come and stay with you before?
No, I have not. Not in the current apartment that I'm staying in right now, no.
Had you in another apartment?
No.
So the answer is you had never invited your friend to come and stay with you before?
No.
Interesting. So on June 27th, she left. On what date did you invite Miss Garrett to come and stay in your apartment?
June 16th.
June 16th?
Yes.
So 11 days before Miss Serrano left?
Miss Serrano left about a week prior to her coming.
What date did you leave, Miss Serrano? Do you recall?
I don't recall. I recall it was the end of, or mid-June of this year, I would say. I had personal things going on, so I really wasn't,
Now, Miss Serrano, I'm going to ask you why you left.
We had a falling out. Me and Michael had a falling out.
Yes. What did you and Michael have a falling out about?
Well, at the time, my mother was in the hospital, so that it was a disagreement surrounding having to move back home and take care of her in the household.
And?
And that was pretty much it.
Well, what did he say? He said he didn't want you to, and you...
Yeah, he pretty much, long story short, didn't want me to move back to my mother's house, so that caused,
Okay, so he wanted you to stay?
Yes. Yes, he wanted me to stay, but,
He wanted you to stay. Now, did you know that the two of you were expecting at that time in June?
Yes.
So he knew that you were expecting a baby, that you wanted to go back to your mother's house because she was ill and you wanted to help take care of her. Is that correct?
Correct, yes.
And despite the fact that he said don't go, you left?
Yes, ma'am.
And you went home?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. And it would be fair to say that he was annoyed?
Yes.
Oh, I'm getting this whole picture now. It's so easy. Okay. And about a week later, he invites this attractive young lady who's been a friend of his for a long time, a non-romantic friend, to move into the apartment.
Yes.
You know that was nasty, right?
Oh, no, yes, I know.
You know that was nasty.
That was an agreement between them.
No. But you know that was a sort of a nasty thing to do.
Oh, no, I'm fully aware.
Oh, okay.
Yes, ma'am.
I just want you to know what you're sort of dealing with.
Yes, I'm fully aware of what I'm dealing with. Thank you, though. Thank you. I appreciate it. Thank you.
Okay, good. Okay, so, Mr. Cody, I wanted to sort of get even a little bit. You invite Miss Garrett to come and move in, no rent or anything, because you didn't have an agreement to pay rent. You weren't going to pay rent or anything, and you moved in. And you moved in on?
I moved in on the 1st.
On the 1st of?
July.
July 1st. Now, Miss Serrano, I'm going to come back to you because this is such a fascinating story.
Oh,
such a fascinating story. And he deserves to get dumped on a little bit.
Oh, that's more where that came from, yes. I said that's more where that came from, yes.
Okay, and between the time you left and July 1st, when Miss Garrett was invited to come to stay at the house, were you in communication with Mr. Codia?
Yes, I would say like every day or every other day we spoke, arguments, you know how it is.
Yeah, well, first of all, you're pregnant and you have emotions and then you're taking care of family members and whatever. And so, I got it. Did he tell you that Miss Garrett was moving in?
Yes.
When?
I would say I found out around like the 27th, 28th.
Of June?
Yes.
Tell me how you found out that she was moving in.
I believe at that point she was already moved in at that point.
Okay, and what made you think that?
Just based off of how the conversation went or how he told me.
Tell me what he told you.
What I was told was that a friend was moving in to solely cook and clean.
Miss Shara Garrett claims her former friend, Michael Codia, and his girlfriend, Brianna Serrano, owe for a personal loan and an assault.
Tell me what he told you. I'm curious. I want to know.
What I was told was that a friend was moving in to solely cook and clean. That's what I was told.
Okay, did he tell you who?
Who it was. I never met her.
But he told you who it was?
Yes, he told me who it was.
And that made you, I would probably guess, a little annoyed and unhappy.
I mean, I was annoyed.
I would be annoyed.
I mean, I was annoyed because I had personal things going on, but in between that time before actually realizing that she was living at my apartment, I actually had a brief interaction with her. I met her at a park. I met her. So
between the time you moved out?
Yes.
Okay. Was it you met because you contacted each other, or
No,
you met by accident?
We met because me and Michael just, had a conversation to have had at that point in time. I'm assuming she was there in the area, so he just wanted to kill two birds with one stone. He said, do you want to meet the person, who's there, who I'm living with, and that's how it went.
And was it a cordial meeting?
Yes, it was.
You met her, she met you?
Yes.
And he said, I just want you to meet the lovely-looking girl that I'm now living with because you went home to take care of your mother.
I guess so, if you want to put it...
Yes, he... This is what your case is about. First, you claim that you loaned Mr. Codia $750 for rent.
Yes.
And you did that because he said once Miss Serrano moved out, she wasn't paying her rent. He was short on rent. That's what I read here. Mr. Codia has a whole different story. He said while he told you that he was a little short on rent and he was going to have to get a third job.
That's not true.
Just a second. You jumped in and offered to give him $750. That's what you wrote here. Is that right?
Correct.
Now, Mr. Codia, did you tell Miss Serrano that somebody was moving into the apartment just to cook and clean? That's what she says.
Yes, that's exactly my words. Exactly my words, yeah.
That's exactly what you told her.
Correct.
You didn't tell Miss Serrano, the soon-to-be mother of your child, that you had a roommate who was paying rent.
I did not.
Miss Serrano, what kind of work were you doing when you were living together in June?
I had a work-from-home position, still currently do as a Medicaid specialist.
Were you sharing rent with him?
Yes. Everything was 50-50.
Did you pay him any rent in July?
No, I did not.
Did you pay him rent in June?
Yes.
So you paid him the $750. That was your share of the rent? Is that what your share was?
That was my share of the rent. June was already paid for. July I did not pay because I did not believe I was going to be there.
Okay. Tell me what he said to you that caused you to give him this $750.
Well, he texted me one morning and said that Brianna was no longer going to pay her half of the rent as of July, and that if he could...
You were living there already?
Yes, and if I give him $750, he would give it back to me. And we never discussed anything about me cooking or cleaning. I actually brought groceries, which he said that he would pay me back for, too, while I'm staying there.
Okay, so you were actually there for 5 days, is that right?
About 5 days.
5-6 days. And at some point around the first week in July, July 5th, 6th, or 7th, you came to the apartment.
Yes.
Tell me what happened.
We had went inside the apartment.
Who's we?
Michael and I, sorry. Michael
So
and
so you weren't staying there. Where had you met him?
We actually met at work. We've been together for a year and a half.
I understand that. Yeah. But you came home to the apartment together, and that was, I think, on the 7th of July.
Yes.
On the 7th of July. Where had you been? You'd been out. You hadn't been staying in the apartment.
Oh, no, yeah. I was out actually just going to rosaries and stuff like that. I actually went to go pick him up after a family function from work. After picking him up from work, we went back to the apartment, went upstairs.
Was that the first time you had been back to the apartment?
No.
Since you left?
Since I left, I've been there on and off. Like, not on and off, but like every other couple days. But I've been there, not living there, but I've been there spending the night and,
Have you ever, when you were there, had you seen Miss Garrett?
Nope, but I've seen her belongings, though.
Okay. But you knew she was there because he told you that she was there.
Exactly.
So on the 7th, you picked him up, you went back to the apartment, and you'd been there before, but you had never actually physically seen her in the apartment.
Correct.
Despite the fact that you knew she was there.
Correct.
Because you'd been introduced to her.
Correct.
Okay. And what happened?
So we went upstairs. She seen that I was with him, and I guess that must have made her mad.
No, just tell me what happened.
So there was an argument.
Tell me what the argument was.
I don't even know what the argument was, honestly. She just seen me, and then there was an argument that unfolded about what I still don't know to this day.
Okay. So now, Miss Garrett, they came home. And?
Okay, so them two never came in the apartment together at all that night and previously.
No, just tell me that night.
Oh, that night. So me and Michael discussed that, hey, listen, things are not working out. He has had multiple people in and out his house, and he was making me very uncomfortable, as well as Miss Serrano popping up.
So what do you say? He's had multiple people in the house?
Guys, women every night. I would sleep in the park. One night I slept in the park because he had Miss Serrano popping up at 3 o'clock in the morning, her throwing my things around, telling me to get out the house. So I had to go in my car and go sleep in the park. And we had conversations that night when it happened, when she popped up. Hey, can I go
What date was that?
It was, I want to say July the 2nd or the 3rd.
Okay.
Yeah.
Before the 7th.
Right.
Okay. And that's when you went out and slept in the park?
Yes.
Just a second. Mr. Cody, you remember that evening?
Yes, I do.
Okay. And that evening on July 2nd or 3rd, Miss Serrano was around. And they don't get along.
They do not.
Which is exactly what you anticipated.
Of course.
When you invited her to stay with you.
Sadly.
Absolutely right. Mm-hmm. Going to have two women fight over the prize. The grand prize. Okay. Did you take $750 from her?
No, I
did.
Did
Did you? I didn't ask you what loan. I didn't ask you. She has proof that she gave it to you.
Yes.
Okay, so let's not play. Did you take $750 from her?
I did.
So it goes back to her. That's $750. Now we're going to get to what she alleges is the remainder of her lawsuit, which is damages for assault. Okay. On the 7th of July, there was some sort of an altercation. You want to tell me what that was?
Yes.
Nashera Garrett has accused her former friend, Michael Codia, and his girlfriend, Brianna Serrano, of damaging her car and assaulting her.
Now, on the 7th of July, there was some sort of an altercation. You want to tell me what that was?
Yes. So that evening, I went into the house, and he had his witness, Darius, there. And
this person?
Yes. And me and Michael had conversations about him before, and I just thought it wasn't a good influence. So that evening, I walk in the house, and I'm sorry, let me back that up. I asked Michael if he's going to have men come in the house, could he please be there while I'm there with them? Because I didn't feel comfortable. He said yes. So when I walked in that evening and saw Darius there, I texted Michael and said, Michael, we need to have another talk. Because every talk we have, I'm thinking that we're having understandings, but we're not. So, and Darius set up a whole twin-sized bed up in the living room. In the living room. So I went out to my car. I said, Michael, when you get home, I'm in my car, so meet me in my car when you get off. It was around 8:30 when Michael had came, and I was sitting in my car. Me and Michael were talking, and...
Was he in your car with you?
No. He was outside of my driver's side. So that's when Miss Brianna came, and she started hitting him upside his head, and I tried to get out of the spot that I was in. And next thing I know, my window's down, and she comes and she's attacking me, punching me in my face. She keyed up my car. When she first came up to my window, she keyed my car. Yeah, I can show you.
What? Okay, did you file a police report?
I didn't.
Why?
I just didn't. I took care of my bruises and my scar. I did call 911, but then I hung up. I just didn't. And
Okay. Do you have photographs of your injury?
Yes. There you go.
So what you're telling me is that this was a scratch across your chest.
Mm-hmm.
And that's a scratch that was caused by Miss Serrano.
Yes.
And that was in July.
Yes.
Ms. Serrano, I'd like to hear your version of what happened on the 7th of July.
Like I said before, there was just an argument that took place.
I want you to start the argument from the beginning.
Okay.
Okay. She's outside in her car.
Mm-hmm.
Michael is talking to her at the car.
Oh, yeah.
Did you drive over there or did you walk? How did you get there?
I parked my car like in front of the house because they were on the side street. So I walked.
So you walked there?
Exactly.
You parked the car. Now, let me ask you a couple of questions, Ms. Serrano. Yeah. Did Mr. Codia ever give you an indication that Miss Garrett was no longer going to be living there?
Not that I could recall, no.
Well, I want you to try to recall.
I was told after that whole day went, the day after that, the conversation was going to be for her to leave the house.
Okay, and what were you coming over for? What brought you over there at 8 o'clock at night?
For him.
What do you mean for him?
Well, he left something in my car. He left a charger or something. It was something he left in my car that I was returning back to him.
Did you tell him you were coming over?
Nope. I just popped up.
The answer is no.
No.
You were curious.
Yes, I was. Of course I was.
There you were.
Mm-hmm.
I'm sorry.
See what's happening to him? This fly is getting vengeance on
Not
him.
getting on me.
What the hell's going on? Oh, you got a swapper too? Wow.
I'm waiting for it to come over here. Did you seek medical treatment?
I did not.
Mr. Codia, I'm going to wrap up this case because I really understand it. I believe I understand it. What I don't understand is why, and this doesn't require an answer, it's sort of a rhetorical question, why you would want to take someone who had been a lifelong friend and someone with whom you are having a child and put either one or both of them in a situation, so they don't know each other really, so they don't know whether to like each other or whether not to like each other. I mean, I assume that at this point you would, at least Miss Serrano was planning a long-term relationship with you, and she's having a child, and I assume she thinks you're going to be there to be supportive of the child. Maybe. You have other children?
Yes, I do.
How many children do you have?
I have another son.
Okay, how old?
5 years old, 5.
And he lives with his mother?
Yes, he does.
So you see.
Yes. There you go.
This one's a pesky one. I'm usually good at it. I missed it before. I don't know why you would put them in a situation where they would dislike each other all to satisfy your ego.
Wow.
Oh, that's exactly what you did. You put them in a position where two apparently nice ladies, both of whom care about you in different ways, you put them, well, do you care about him?
Yes.
You think she cares about him?
I've never, the entire time I was with
They just know each other for a long time.
It was way before me, so I guess if he would have put it like that.
And they also went to senior prom together.
Just a second.
Wow, like
I didn't ask you.
I'm sorry, Your Honor.
I didn't ask you anything. This is not a shout out. What I'm telling you is, it goes to his character. He knows her for a long time. They never had a romantic relationship. With you, he's had a romantic relationship. You did something that annoyed him. You went back to take care of your sick mother, which also attests to his bad character. And then what he does is, he invites a woman to come into the house, lets you know about it, because he knows that it's going to irritate you. That's exactly what happened. He acknowledges that. That doesn't make him a good guy. So I want you to think about that. But I absolutely believe that you caused a scratch on her, which you can't do. Anyway, Mr. Cody, you owe her $750. And Ms. Serrano, you can't put your hands on anybody, no matter how angry you are at them. And I'm awarding her $1,000 for you putting your hands on her. Okay. Judgment for the plaintiff. We're done. Thank you very much.
This court is adjourned.
I was very satisfied.
I mean, I knew it would cause havoc, but
Different women every night,
I try to keep it in secret.
and that's why we stopped being friends before, but I definitely learned my lesson.
I feel like it's unfortunate. I feel like she manipulated the whole situation.
The friendship is over.
I'm just gonna be a father to my child, man.
After working with you now for almost a year, I'm starting to get so jaded from these cases that I'm starting to think that just staying single might be my best option if these are the alternatives. Yeah. Just blows my mind. He admitted to just pitting an old friend and your fiance, who's pregnant with your child, against each other.
To satisfy your ego.
Yes. Sounds like a terrible idea, was a terrible idea, turned out to be a terrible idea, and it'll land you in court on occasion.
You're right, but rethink that staying single part.
Think about it.
Edmund Hay is suing videographer Ramsey Hill for breach of contract.
Court come to order. All rise.
Have a seat, please.
Hello, Judge. Case 2057, Hay versus Hill.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Mr. Hay, you're a musician.
I am a songwriter and I sing song. I don't play the instrument, Your Honor.
That's music.
Yes, ma'am.
Mr. Hill, you make music videos.
Yes, I have a video production company.
For how long, sir?
Since 2006.
You have employees?
No.
Just you?
Yes, ma'am.
Do you have a place of business?
Yes, I work at my home.
So your place of business
is the residence.
Do you have a studio in the residence?
No, we do not.
Where do you record this music?
Most of the time we do it on location, but I haven't done a music video in almost 10 years.
When you say you have a video business, you haven't done music videos.
Right, yeah.
You have done what kind of videos?
Well, we've done a small film. We have a 3D full-length original animation that we do. We also have a network that we show podcasts on. We have a health and fitness show, and we was working on a reality TV show and an entertainment news show.
I still don't understand how you make a living. Working on, thinking about being in this business myself, that doesn't produce any income. How do you earn a regular income?
Oh, I have a regular 9-to-5 job. Besides
okay, now that's where we go.
Yeah.
So your 9-to-5 job is what?
Right now I'm an insurance agent.
Do you advertise making videos?
Absolutely not. The only reason I did this was as a favor to a friend.
Well, you didn't do it for a favor because you were charging him.
No, the only reason I accepted to do the video was because a friend asked me to meet with him.
I understand that.
Yeah.
But you weren't doing him a favor because you were charging him.
No, I was doing the friend a favor. I wasn't doing him a favor. Right.
Mr. Hill, if somebody says, listen, I have a friend who wants to make a video. I know you've got a setup in your house where you could do that, or you do it on location. Would you like to be introduced to him? And you say, sure. That doesn't mean you're doing him a favor. So you haven't made a music video in 10 years. You're an insurance agent. And you met with Mr. Hay on what date?
I'm not really sure.
On what date, Mr. Hay?
We met sometime in early April, late March.
Did you have a written contract?
Yes, ma'am.
And that was to make certain videos?
Yes.
I'd like to see the written contract, please. This lawsuit seeks a refund of the money that you gave to him because the entire contract was not fulfilled. That's what the case is about.
That is correct.
Okay, so there is a full and complete agreement. Was this the only agreement there was in writing?
That's the one for that one.
That's the one for what?
For that particular item, there's another one here.
Well, that's what I wanted to know. There's one to produce 3 videos.
That is correct.
Okay, is there another written contract?
He said this is not a contract.
Well, but I'm asking you, is there another written contract that you're relying on? Because he was supposed to make 3 videos, and the cost of the 3 videos was $1,500?
$3,000.
$3,000. And then there was an additional agreement
for the live performance, of which he demanded $1,500 from me.
Okay.
Okay,
And then
that's
it's-
not
just a second.
correct. That's
just
not correct.
Just a second. So it is your claim that in addition to the $3,000, $1,500 of which you paid to him, correct?
Yes, ma'am.
There was a subsequent contract afterwards for an additional item. I'd like to see that.
For the live performance on
I
May
understand.
1st.
Okay. You wanted to do something live on one of his radio stations. Or...
Mr. Hill?
No, I'm going to read this.
Okay.
Okay, let's deal with the easier one first. Did you receive the $1,500 for this contract?
Yes.
And that was for a live performance on one of your outlets.
Right.
And that was to take place on May 1st.
May 1st.
And did it in fact take place?
No.
Did it in fact take place?
Not at all.
Well, so then he gets his $1,500 back. That's one.
Thank you, Your Honor.
But I'm not asking you anything. There's nothing else that you have to tell me about that, right? You paid him $1,500.
Yes, ma'am.
You didn't do a live performance. You get your $1,500 back.
Yes, ma'am.
Now, with regard to the 3 videos, you've given him a total now of $3,000?
$1,500, Your Honor.
How much did you pay him on this?
For the videos?
Yes.
I gave him $500 up front to start off on that project. And then that's on the 21st. And then I gave him $1,000 by the 27th, I think, for the 3 videos.
So you gave him. So you gave him. The 3 videos were supposed to be $3,000, and you gave him $1,500.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. How many videos were produced for you?
1.
Is it accurate that 1 video was produced for Mr. Hay?
Yes.
And it was done on a particular date?
Right.
And you gave him that video?
Yes.
On what date did you give him that video?
It was a week before the 31st.
Did you do any work on the other 2 videos?
No.
Okay. Each video was supposed to cost $1,000.
Yes.
Dollars. And you received 1 video.
Yes, ma'am.
And you paid him $1,500 so far as down payment on 3, so you have $1,500 that you believe is coming back to you from that amount of money, in addition to the $1,500 that I've already given you.
No, the $1,500 covered the first video. It wasn't a breakdown like he's trying to make it in the 3 videos. No, the $1,500 was the full cost for the first video.
Does it say that in here?
Edmund Hay claims videographer Ramsey Hill breached their music video contract.
Kevin, would you please ask Mr. Hill to show me where in this contract, and I may have missed it, that $3,000 was to be paid for 3 videos.
Right.
But the first one cost half, cost $1,500. All I want you to do is to show me in that contract where it says that. If it says that, then Mr. Hay gets back the $1,500 from live music performance.
The music video production won $1,500.
Just a second. Can I see it, please? Yes, it does. Mr. Hay, that's exactly what it says. It says music video, the first production is $1,500.
Okay.
And you got 1 produced video, correct?
Correct, ma'am.
Okay, well,
So,
then you're absolutely right. What?
so the reason why I'm suing him for the extra $1,000, Your Honor, is for the live performance that he didn't perform. I had to hire 2 other persons.
That's not his problem. He didn't perform. He didn't do the live performance.
No, first of all,
and you're getting your money back. He's not giving you more money back.
No.
He's not giving you more money than you gave him. Do you understand?
Your Honor, may I say this, please?
You could say whatever you want to say. He's not paying for you to do another live performance with other people. He didn't perform pursuant to the contract, and you're getting your money back because he didn't perform that contract. With regard to this contract, he performed pursuant to this contract. You get nothing. It's easy.
For the music, correct? For the videos, correct?
For the videos, he produced 1, and 1 was $1,500. That's what this contract says.
The contract is about making 3 videos, Your Honor.
That's all right. If you want to look at it, do you want to see it? Have we shown it to you?
No, I'm asking pertaining to what he says. He says pertaining to just 1 for the $1,500.
It says it's clear. Music video, number 1 production, $1,500.
Number 1, which means there's 2 more need to be done.
Correct, but the first one was, just a second, the first one was $1,500. He could have very easily said, Mr. Hay, production number 1, $1,000. Production number 2.
He explained that like you just said to me, and he wrote that in words for that purpose.
This is what the court is bound by, sir. Not what he may have explained to you, because you cannot modify in the law a written contract by oral communications between the parties. It's in writing. If you wanted him to write production 1, $1,000, then he would have said, write production 1, that each video was $1,000.
Your Honor,
this is not an argument, sir.
I'm not
this
arguing,
is not an argument. Good, because that's what it says.
I'm not arguing.
Contract speaks for itself. On the initial contract, he has to give you a refund of $1,500. On this contract, he produced number 1 video for which you paid him $1,500. That's what the contract calls for. We're done here. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
This court is adjourned.
Well, it's a fair decision. There is no breaching of my end on the contract. It would never have been any money if he'd have kept things on course. How did I breach the contract when I'm here getting the money for the contract? I'm not working with anybody like that anymore.
You cannot have an oral modification of a written contract. So I think it's a good lesson for people signing written contracts that if you don't agree or you have a different understanding than something that's listed in the contract, don't let the other person just explain it away in the moment, because as we've seen, that doesn't hold up in court, and your rights are going to be really limited to what's in that written agreement. So it's important.
People should.
Case 2053, Johnson versus Blue. All parties, please come forward.
Rochelle Johnson is suing her sister-in-law, Monique Blue, and her brother, Antonio Blue, for unpaid rent and window blinds.
Ms. Johnson, the defendant is your brother.
That is correct.
And his co-defendant, your brother's wife. You had a home that was located in what state?
California.
Several years ago, you decided to move out of state, I think to Arizona?
Yes.
And at that time, you discussed with your brother and his wife renting your home. You entered into a lease with them. Was it a 2-year lease?
Yes, ma'am.
And it was a written lease?
Yes.
Do you have a copy of that lease?
I do.
I'd like to see it, please.
That's a 2-year, and I also have a 6-month.
No, just the first lease first, because I'm old and I can only absorb a certain amount of facts at one time. It's a pretty straightforward lease. It's a lease for 24 months, starting the 1st of July, 2019, and terminating on July 1st, 2021. $1,600 a month rent, there's a small security deposit, and all the other terms and conditions are rather standard. Your complaint says that when you went to the state of Arizona, ultimately you ascertained that your health coverage, your lifetime health coverage, was not covered in the state of Arizona. You decided you wanted to move back to California. You don't even have to give a reason why you want to move back to California. You can move back to California into your house on July 1st, 2021. You understand that?
Yes.
Great. And you came back to California on what date?
I don't recall the exact date, but I also extended a 6-month.
I understand. When did you come back to California? In March. That's what you said here. I think in March.
Okay, right now I don't recall.
I think in March of 2022 is when you ultimately came back because they vacated sometime the beginning of March.
No. I came back prior to that. I stayed with my son for a year until
the lease was up?
Yes, ma'am.
Your son lives in California?
Yes, Beaumont, California.
Now, I'd like to see the extension of the lease for 6 months. Okay, so you acknowledge, Mr. and Mrs. Blue, that the 6-month extension that you both signed terminated on December 31st.
Yes.
Did you vacate the house on December 31st?
No, we hadn't found a place yet.
That's not her problem. That would be your problem. Did she give you permission to stay beyond December 31st?
Rochelle Johnson claims her sister-in-law, Monique Blue, and her brother, Antonio Blue, owe for unpaid rent and window blinds. Monique and Antonio are countersuing for harassment and invasion of privacy.
Okay. Did she give you permission to stay beyond December 31st?
No.
So you stayed beyond December 31st. Were you there in January?
Mm-hmm.
Uh-huh is not an answer. Were you there in February?
Yes.
Were you there on March 1st?
Yes.
On March 2nd?
Yes.
On March 3rd?
Yes.
On what day in March did you move out?
March 5th.
Did you pay rent in the month of January?
No.
February?
No.
March?
No.
Okay, that's what she's suing for.
Right.
Well, you have a defense for not paying rent for those 3 months, which you clearly occupied her premises. Who wants to tell me why you didn't pay rent?
She told us in the beginning we were supposed to buy the house. We did numerous renovations to our house. We cleaned it up. And when we first moved in July 1st, it wasn't move-in ready.
I don't care. You lived there. Not only did you live there, you executed a second lease for another 6 months. You lived there from the beginning of the lease up until March 5th, which is 3 months beyond when you were supposed to be there. I'm waiting for a defense and not paying rent.
Yes. For July 2019, when we first moved in, the house was hideous. She had stuff in every room. We weren't able to move our stuff in.
Did you live there?
Yes, we had nowhere else to go.
I don't care. You had a choice. If the house wasn't move-in condition, you break your lease. But you don't say at the end of the lease, by the way, when we were there 2.5 years ago, the house wasn't ready for us to move in. It wasn't in condition that we liked. We lived there anyway. So that's not an excuse for not paying rent at the other end. Anything else?
Yeah. She offered to give us the last month rent that we were there for free.
The last month?
The last month rent. I have the papers.
Well, I'd like to take a look at that. But you owe 3 months.
3 months? We moved off March 5th.
I don't care. You were there March 1st. That's the month.
Okay.
Did you indicate to them that you would give them a month off the rent? Okay.
No, ma'am.
She says that you did. I'd like to see
your evidence as well.
No, just shh. No, she agreed to waive the final month's rent for the period of April 1st, 2022 to May 2nd, 2022. You were gone in March.
Right.
And your lease, for some reason, she agreed to waive rent for a month that you weren't there. She didn't waive January, February, or March. She agreed to waive it April 1, 2022 to May 2nd, 2022. That's no evidence that she waived any rent.
We moved out on March 5th. Why do we still owe her for March?
Because you were there in March.
Okay.
If she was using the premises as a rental premises and you were leaving at the end of February, then she would have been able to rent her premises beginning March 1st. You don't move out until March 5th, the beginning of March. That means she needs a couple of days, or any landlord would need a couple of days to put the place in order and re-rent it. They wouldn't be able to re-rent until April. So you were there. Is there any reason you stayed until March 5th instead of... Just a second. You didn't let me finish the question. Is there any reason why you didn't move out the last day in February and instead stayed into March?
Because our house wasn't ready yet.
What do you mean it wasn't ready?
We wasn't ready to move in there yet.
What was wrong with it? Where did you move?
Victorville, California.
Okay, to what kind of property?
We bought a house.
Okay, when did you buy the house? What month?
It closed January something.
So you bought the house in January.
Mm-hmm.
When you inspected the house that you bought, did you buy it furnished or unfurnished?
Unfurnished.
Did you have furniture in the plaintiff's house?
Yes.
You'll give her the address so she can check.
Yes.
Great. Sarah, just look it up for me, please. On what date did you close on that property?
February?
No, don't.
February.
On what date, sir, did you close on that property? It's probably in the record.
I can't remember offhand.
We're not talking about so long ago. Is there an address?
February 7th is listed as the closing date.
2/7. So the house became yours on February 7th. That sound familiar? That's what it says.
Yes.
Well, then you had 3 weeks to move in, to get it ready.
Yeah.
Okay?
What? Mm-hmm.
All right. Fine. So you owe her 3 months' rent at $1,600 a month.
What about the renovations we did to our house?
Who cares? I live in a place for a couple of years, and I make changes to the place that I find make it more comfortable. There's nothing in this lease agreement that says that she has to reimburse you for things that she did, and this is not a rent-to-buy agreement. This is a straight tenancy agreement.
We were supposed to buy her house.
There are agreements that are rent-to-buy that list what the rental is and what the ultimate purchase price will be, and whether or not you can deduct the rent that you've paid or a percentage of it from the total purchase price, or whether you cannot. This is a straight rental agreement. So if you made improvements in the house, if you painted it, if you put in new carpeting to make it more comfortable for yourself, you don't get reimbursed for that because there's nothing in your lease that requires her to reimburse you for any improvements that you make in the house. You're bound by the four corners of the contract that you signed.
Well, what about how the conditions that we moved in?
Well,
that she doesn't...
Yes. By living there for 2.5 years, without, I assume, unless you can show me, without, I assume, a written complaint to her. Do you have that? Do you have a written complaint? No. I asked you, sir.
I have pictures.
$4,800. Judgment for the plaintiff. We're finished. Thank you. You count the claims dismissed. It's ridiculous.
My mother's deceased, and it would actually hurt my mother to see us in court today. And that's my only regret, that I had to do that.
We're done.
The bottom line is, I am back in my house.
So I had a thought about that case because going through college, I think the first time I saw a lease was my sophomore year or so when I moved off campus. And my dad, luckily enough, was there to help me look over it and sort of teach me what a lease was, what the different sections meant, what I should really be looking out for. So in my mind, it would make sense for colleges to offer a basic life skills course to teach young incoming freshmen how to read a lease, how to negotiate on your behalf.
Did they offer that class at all to undergraduates?
It seems specified to business students or closed off to certain majors. Just to have some guidance would have been, I think.
Is suing his ex-girlfriend, Erica Christian, for personal property and filing a false restraining order.
Court come to order. All rise.
Have a seat, everyone.
Case 2052, Henry versus Christine.
Thank you.
Welcome.
Mr. Henry, what you're doing is suing the defendant with whom you had a relationship for a period of time for the return of property that you had in an apartment that you once shared and for filing a false restraining order, a false police report.
Yes, Your Honor.
The defendant says that you never lived with her, that you damaged her front door, and you filed a restraining order against her that was false. So, Miss Christian, I think I'm going to start with you.
Yes, ma'am.
According to the papers that were filed, you and Mr. Henry did in fact live together for a period of time up until...
October 9th.
Shh. Up until October 9th of 1921.
Yes, Your Honor.
Of 2021, 1921, hardly almost the year of my birth.
Yes, ma'am.
2021. When he left.
Yeah, without a note.
Just a second. October of 2021. Then the information that I have contained in these papers indicate that he sort of came begging back. And that was in February.
Yes, ma'am.
Of 2022. And you took him back.
Yes, ma'am.
And he was living with you. You were living in the same apartment from February of 2022 until what you say in your answer is June of 2022. When, for some reason, you were looking through his phone. Now, you were looking through his phone because he was acting weird or whatever.
Yes.
That's June of 2022. You understand where I'm going, Miss Christian, don't you? Of course you do. So from February of 2022, February, March, April, May, for 4.5 months, Mr. Henry and you occupied the same residence.
No, ma'am.
Your residence.
No, ma'am.
Well, that's what you say.
No, ma'am.
Oh.
He lived in his own apartment in Merritt Island. When we got back together.
Here we go. On February 15th, 2022, he contacted me and we got back together. He had his own place and never lived with me again. He would stay over occasionally and bring a few things to make himself comfortable. On June 21st, I went through his phone because he was acting weird. Where was he when you went through his phone?
He was asleep.
He was asleep where?
In my bed.
Okay. In the apartment?
Yes, I work at 6 o'clock.
In the apartment?
Yes, ma'am.
Of course, yes, ma'am. And I saw that he was setting up a date with the mother of his child.
Yes, ma'am.
I got upset, dropped off my son, and then came back home while he was packing. He told me he was taking my couch, TV, dresser, dining table, and everything in my apartment. So my next question to you is, who paid for the couch?
Me.
I'd like to see a receipt.
I don't have it.
Who paid for the couch?
It was a couple years ago. Sorry.
My brother, Adonis Glover, he's the one that gave me the furniture.
Just a second.
He gave me the couch, the love seat, the lamp, a few other things listed on that document.
When did he give them to you?
He gave it to me before me and Miss Christian moved in the first apartment.
So let's go back. Where was the first place that you lived with the defendant?
Cocoa, Florida.
Okay. From when to when?
From 2020 October to February, March 2021, because that's when her lease was up.
Were you both on a lease in that apartment?
No, I wasn't on that lease.
Just you?
Yes, ma'am.
And that's the first place that you lived together?
Yes.
And why did you leave that place, Mr. Henry?
She was relocating to Titusville. I helped her move into it, and I moved in as well.
Does that sound familiar to you? I have to be very careful what you say to me, because when I say I read the papers and I have my own preconceived ideas of what this case is about based upon 50 years worth of experience, be very careful what you say to me.
Yes, ma'am.
Great. Does that sound familiar to you?
No, ma'am, he is lying.
He is lying about what?
Adonis did not give him that furniture. Furniture was given to me, never was given.
Just a second. So we're not talking about the furniture now. We're talking about when you lived together.
Okay.
You first lived someplace together and then moved into another place.
Yes, ma'am.
So that sounds familiar. Am I correct that this is all about furniture?
No.
Mr. Henry, value of property. She's not paying you for property, for furniture that was given to you that was secondhand. You have to understand that. If I find that it's your furniture, you're going to go and get it.
Yes, that's what I was hoping.
Just a second. You're going to go and get it.
Yes.
If you can establish to me that it's your furniture, you can keep it. You're not a married couple. I have a couple of issues with some things that I think that you did, because I actually think that you were together and he was packing his things, but then the police were called and you told the police that he didn't live there. Isn't that right?
Yes. Because...
And just a second. And that wasn't true.
It is true.
Tell me where he was living.
He was living in Merritt Island. Whenever we broke up in October, from October to February, we broke up. He reached out to me the day after Valentine's Day. We started talking. He was buying me gifts to try to get back in my good graces. He was doing all this extra stuff to try to get back in my good graces. We got back together. He never did move back in with me. He always did live in his apartment in Merritt Island. I work at 6 o'clock in the morning till 12 p.m. Sometimes whenever I didn't have a babysitter, he doesn't have a job, he would watch my son. That's why he had a key. That's why he had to spend the night bag and all of that. He would bring over his clothes, shoes, PlayStation, anything to make himself comfortable to stay the night. And whenever the police were called, they made him collect all of those belongings and leave. They escorted him off the property, told him that he was not allowed back. They told me that...
Well, that's because if that's what's happened, that's because they believe you, which I don't.
Okay. They definitely...
That's because they believe you, and I don't, because if he was trying to get back in your graces and he was living in his own space and you weren't back together again, why in the world were you going through his phone? If you were just a casual gal, and a casual gal doesn't let him stay with her son because, well, he was available and he wasn't working, so he watched my son and he stayed over. That all sounds like a whole lot of Who Shot John. And it was convenient for you to be able to say he doesn't live here. So all I want to know, Miss Christian, is this case is mostly about furniture, used furniture.
I also have a TV there.
Do you have the receipt for it?
Yes, I have a title.
I'd like to see it. You have a TV in the house that belongs to him?
So the TV was...
Just a second. That's either yes or no.
No, the TV does not belong to him.
Who does it belong to?
The TV was a gift from him to me that I ended up paying off because he told me that when he bought it, that it was bought cash. Whenever, months later, I paid the TV off.
No, you didn't.
Just a shh. First, you're going to show me that you paid it off. I assume you have proof that you paid it off?
I gave him cash for it because I did not think that we were ever going to break up.
Well, you never thought you were going to break up. I thought he didn't live with you.
Like,
I thought he didn't live with you. You don't buy TV for somebody that you don't live with, that you're not going to watch all the time.
Eventually thought we were going to move into a house together, Your Honor.
Your Honor.
Oh, don't tell me what you thought.
The TV that was bought was before I even had nothing.
That's a PlayStation and
That's still
Nintendo.
property that's still at the apartment.
Okay. These are things that you say are yours, that you bought and paid for.
Yes.
Okay. All of these receipts.
All of it. No help.
Okay, so let's go beyond the point of now you're back together again, because that's what I believe. He's in bed, you're going through his phone, you find he's making a date with the mother of his child, you get annoyed, you take your son to another location because you know that there's going to be an argument. You come back, there is an argument, he wants to take stuff, whatever, police are called, you tell the police he doesn't live there, they escort him out. He wants his property now. You're not married people. Whoever paid for the property or whoever was the recipient of a gift for the property owns the property. That's simple. You know, that's what the law is.
Raheem Henry claims his ex-girlfriend, Erica Christian, owes for personal property. Erica is countersuing for door damages and stolen property.
Okay, he has a Nintendo, a PlayStation, Sony.
Your Honor, he collected those.
Just a second. A queen mattress and foundation. And we have May of 2022. This is a TV. An LED TV.
That was my birthday present.
Nah. What? Okay, so I have titles to these things. You have titles or receipts for any of these things?
I don't have receipts for any of those things. He grabbed his PlayStation, his Switch, and everything whenever he left. The only thing that is in my apartment is the TV that he bought me for my birthday. May is my birthday. May 7th is my birthday. That was my birthday present that he bought for me.
Did you take your Nintendo?
No, I haven't had. Recently, that was something different. My storage unit was just broken into. This is why I don't have original documents. And she stole more of my property.
I don't know that. Did you file a police report?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Did they ever find any of the property?
No,
Perhaps?
not right now.
Okay. The couch, whatever other furniture is there, is how old? I mean, it used to be used furniture, so it was.
Yeah, my brother Donis got it when he paid for it. It was like a kind of like a bundle deal for the apartment, like a lot of furnishing, and I ended up giving him some money for looking out.
That was 2-3 years ago?
Yeah.
And it was used furniture at the time?
Yeah. It wasn't nothing like brand new out of the seal.
How much did you pay for the TV?
I got taxed when I was like at 15, almost to $2,000, because it's a 60-inch smart TV.
Okay, so what is it that you want, is my question.
I want a court order to go get the rest of my property.
What? I have to know what the rest of your property is.
Yes.
You have the TV.
The TV, I have asthma medication, I have plantar
She doesn't.
fasciitis.
I want to tell you something. She threw out your asthma medication.
I believe so, too.
She threw out your asthma medication.
Yeah.
What else?
I have crutches. I have,
You have what?
Crutches and certain things. I have
You don't.
PlayStation.
Look, you don't need crutches. And the PlayStation you said was in the storage unit.
Yeah.
Well, I'm not interested in the storage unit. So far, I have a TV. What else?
My mattress, my bed, my
Yeah, you don't
stuff
want
that I had
You don't
from the
want that.
apartment.
You don't want a mattress. Are you back with
No.
this lady now?
No.
Where are you living?
I've been living on the streets. I've been living out of my car ever since this been happening.
Where are you going to put a mattress?
I have a storage unit that I was going to just collect. I'm pretty much just trying to salvage what I can because I have things that's sentimental, stuff from my grandmother passing away, things that I really can't put a price tag on. I just want to be able to get a court order to just get the rest of my belongings.
I don't know what the rest of. I have a TV. You have no place to put a mattress that's a couple of years old. So you really don't need that. I mean, I can give you an order to get your mattress, but what are you going to do with it? It's just going to cost you to go get it and to store it. So you really don't need it.
I don't need it, but I would like to still get all of my property back. Like the stuff that I paid for because I worked hard. I furnished
I'm giving
my
you
apartment.
your TV back. You're going to get the TV. I haven't figured out what else it is that you really want to make this whole thing worthwhile. I'm not giving you any money. Do you want the mattress back? You paid for it. You're entitled to it back. I can give you an order for the mattress and the TV.
Okay, and I also have electronics, like from games to controllers, just so much things that like add
TV,
up.
mattress, box spring. He's going to come and get it with a marshal, but he's coming to get it within 5 days from today.
So what if I pull up my bank statements to show that I gave him cash around the same time that whenever it was pulled up and everything? Because I did give him cash for the TV, for the bed, for actually more than he ever even put into it.
Let me explain something to you. Unless you have a check made out to him, I have a problem with somebody who lies to the police.
Ma'am,
I do. I have trouble with somebody who got very angry because her boyfriend, who was living there, watching her son, brought a TV, bought a mattress, bought a box spring, bought all of those things, and then you got annoyed that he was involved again with his child's mother. You dropped off your son someplace else to come back to have a fight with him. You did have an argument with him. Police were called. You said to the police, he doesn't live here.
Your Honor, he moved out.
He doesn't live here. That's what's here.
Your Honor, I never moved out.
He moved out in
We had a
October.
whole business together.
No, we did
were
not. That business
creating-
is in my name, and I have the receipts to that, too.
You have to understand something. I know what happened. I don't believe you.
Ma'am, I'm
you
telling
have
you
to.
the truth.
No, you're not. You're not telling me the truth. That when the police came, you said he doesn't live here.
Yes.
He doesn't live here. Put him outside.
He took all of his belongings.
Did he take his? Oh no.
May I finish? He took all of his belongings on October 9th. Whenever he left, without a call, without a text message, without anything, he broke up with me and left. He got back in contact with me in February. Mind you, we never lived together after that.
He was just staying over to watch your son when you got angry in June.
Whenever
it was June. It was June, 4.5 months later.
Which he would go back to his apartment. He would come. He never stayed more than a couple of nights consecutively.
Okay. He's coming to get his TV. He's coming to get his mattress and box spring.
Can we
You have a
talk about
counterclaim.
my counterclaim?
You have a counterclaim for damage to the front door.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay? Damage to the front door.
Kicked my front door down.
Okay. When did he do that?
The day after he was police escorted, they told him not to come back, and the next day he came back and kicked my door down right in front of the police officer.
So he came back with a police officer?
And kicked my door down.
Just a second. He came back with a police officer, and the police officer was there when he broke into your apartment.
Yes, and they were going to take him...
No, tell me what they were going to do. And they did nothing.
Well, they trespassed him from my apartment complex.
I'm asking you what you're telling me is, madam, which is why I have problems with you right from the get-go. What you're telling me now is he came back to get his property. The next day,
He didn't come back
with a police officer.
Yes.
And what you're telling me, a police officer, and what, you live in Florida?
Yes.
What you want me to believe that a police officer saw him kick down your door, go into your apartment, take property, and did nothing. That's what you want me to believe.
He didn't not do anything. He was completely confused on who actually lived there.
You're telling me a police officer was confused.
I'm telling you the truth. They were very confused on who actually lived there.
Bring me just a second.
They were trying to figure out if it was my apartment, his apartment. I had to go get my property manager, bring my lease that only had my name on it.
You don't understand. The last place you lived with him full-time, your name was on the lease too. Only yours.
Correct.
And you lived together. So now you took his lease again, just in your name, and said, he's not on the lease, he doesn't live here.
We broke up, though.
Okay. All right, he's coming to get his TV, he's coming to get his mattress.
Okay.
And I would like to see a police report. I would like to see...
I also have an
Don't-
iPad.
just a
that-
second.
Okay.
You're done. You're going to get your TV, your mattress, and your box spring.
Has accused his ex-girlfriend, Erica Christian, of keeping his personal property. Erica claims he broke through her door and stole her belongings.
Now,
yes, ma'am. I have my Chromebook, my iPad, my office supplies, things that were stolen from my company that whenever he kicked my door down and took things out of my apartment that day.
Okay, now let's get to the company. What kind of work were you involved with when you and the defendant lived together, Mr. Henry?
I did all the graphic design. I made the business cards.
Just a second. Were you involved in graphic design?
Yes. I actually went...
Just a second. Together?
No. It was mainly me.
And you did this over a computer, over a laptop?
Over a tablet, over my iPad.
So the business supplies that she's going to tell me about were for the graphic design business?
Yes. Some
You
of the
said-
supplies, but I never stole anything. I just had an iPad that I worked on, and I did graphic design on it. That was mine. I gave her cash for it. She found it on Amazon for me for a good deal. I was able to draw on it. She's never had access to it. It's always been my Apple ID on it.
Where is it?
I don't know. The day when I got escorted out, she came out of the apartment. I was going in to get the rest of my belongings, and she was saying, "I can't find my iPad. You have it." And I right then and there, I knew she found it and she took it and hid it. So the officer let me go inside to get my belongings. I looked in the closet where I had it wrapped up. Gone. I walked outside and was like, "Erica, where's my iPad? I paid for that. I do work on it. That is mine." She said, "I don't know. It's gone. You must have it." Had this whole sob story about it. So still to this day, I have no idea.
Okay. What else?
My iPad that he stole the day that he broke into my apartment. My Chromebook that he stole the day that he broke into
Your what?
My Chromebook, my laptop.
What else?
I have my printer that he stole. It's all right here, 600. Do you want me to just pass it to you?
Did you take a printer?
I'm so sorry.
I wasn't able to leave with anything because they made me have to go through a civil suit because she started claiming stuff and saying it was hers and it wasn't mine. So the officer didn't even let me go back inside the apartment.
I want to know when you went in the presence of a police officer, whether you pushed down the door, kicked down the door or not. Unless I have a police report, I don't actually believe that the police officer...
He was my escort. I
Just a
actually met
second.
him.
Did you take any electronics with you when you left?
I didn't leave with anything.
Okay, just don't give me a whole bunch of papers. What I'd like to see is a police report or any other documentation that he took anything the day after you had him evicted from the apartment where he was living.
She didn't even have me evicted.
I have the receipts of the stuff that he stole.
He said he didn't take anything. He said the police officer was there, wouldn't let him take a printer. I mean, those are heavy electronics.
Yeah.
And that was the only other time he was in the apartment.
He also checked my car.
No, he didn't.
Unless you have some sort of a police report for me, Miss Christian, I don't believe you. I think that you were really angry I think that you were really angry because he left in October. You took him back in February. You found out that he was not being straight up front with you, and you were dishonest with the police, which is all part of being angry and felt that you were being taken advantage of. According to you, you was together so much so that he bought you a television set a month before you threw him out for your birthday that cost thousands of dollars. That's what you just told me.
Ma'am, he bought that TV in February for me for an early birthday present. He bought it for an early birthday present and told me...
He's coming to get, listen to me, he's coming to get his TV, he's coming to get his box spring, he's coming to get his mattress. It's a court order. It's a court order with a marshal in 5 days from today. Do you understand?
I also have
5 days from
my
today.
countersuit, my false police reports, the false injunction, everything that he did.
I have to tell you something. The same way that I'm not entertaining because it's over, this fib that you told to the police, which caused him to be... don't interrupt me. I'm not entertaining. You filed restraining orders against each other?
She filed...
Just a second. You filed restraining orders against each other. Is that right?
Yes, ma'am.
Do you have a restraining order against her?
Yes, but it was dismissed.
I said, do you have one currently? The answer is no.
No.
Do you have a restraining order against him?
No, ma'am.
Good. It's exactly what I thought. Because neither one of you have to say goodbye. You have to stop being angry, but you have to give him back his property.
I only wanted the restraining
TV, mattress, box spring, 5 days from today. Counterclaims dismissed. We're finished with this case. Thank you very much.
This court is adjourned.
I think that it was unfair.
I'm pretty much just happy it's all over.
Broke up with me without even a text message, a phone call, nothing.
She just took it and ran with it, and she decided she was going to take matters into her own hands and be spiteful.
Very single. No more relationships for a while.
It's definitely time to move forward, move past it.
The good one is out there, but I have not found him yet.
It's just nice that at least it's over. It's a weight lifted off my shoulders.
I sort of felt sorry for him. He probably deserved some of it, but you can't lie to the police.
I think she was being vindictive by saying he doesn't live here. He doesn't live here. He sort of kind of lives here if you're being truthful. But it's always a good idea to have your name on the lease if you can, because that's all the officer has to look at in a squabble like what happened between them.
Yeah, it's almost between a rock and a hard place.
Yeah.
If your name is not on the lease, you're not responsible for the rent.
Yep.
And I've usually suggested that when you're living together, you don't have both people's name on the lease, because in the event that you separate, who's going to stay in the apartment? And if you're the one who leaves, your former partner may say to you, don't worry, you leave, I'll take over the rent. But if they don't, you're still on the hook with the landlord. So
there's pros and cons to both.
But it's an exit strategy. Yeah. And people have to be smart enough. See, he had an exit strategy. His name wasn't on the lease. Yeah. But then he needed it. But I think she was being dishonest. And I think his brother did, in fact, give him some old furniture. Who cares about that? It's from decades ago.
You only stay a few nights. You're not bringing your furniture.
Your couch, your TV. Yeah.
Judy. ألم تر كيف فعل ربك بأصحاب الفيل ألم يجعل كيدهم في تضليل وأرسل عليهم طائرا أبابيل ترميهم سجيل فجعلهم كعصف مأكول ألم تر كيف فعل ربك بأصحاب الفيل ألم يجعل كيدهم في تضليل